A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll. Let's go. Firefighters.
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of America's unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll take you to the office of Fire Chief Cody, where Tim Collins, rookie fireman, stands by for orders as the chief launches his counterattack against the forces that seek to destroy his program of fire prevention. But before we join the battle, here's a message you ought to hear. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to Fire Department headquarters, where Chief Cody has begun his fight to save his program of fire prevention. As you remember, Mr. Lippett, owner of the Rainbow House, has made a vicious attack on Chief Cody, a smokescreen to hide the fact that Lippett's Rainbow House nightclub is a fire trap, which Lippett refuses to make safe. But Jimmy, 14-year-old brother of Tim Collins, has brought the issue out into the open. He has laid the facts before the Firefighters Brigade of Northside School. And just a moment ago, the fire chief ordered young Jimmy Collins to telephone the editor of the Daily News and tell him the story. Well, when the paper came out, everybody knew that the Firefighters Brigade had petitioned the mayor for action, and the parents of the firefighters demanded a showdown between Chief Cody and Lippett. Later, the mayor announced that a special hearing would be held in his office. Let's join Chief Cody and Tim as the mayor raps for order.
Are you ready, Mr. Lippett?
I certainly am, Mr. Mayor.
Chief Cody?
Ready, sir?
You young man, I don't know you. Have you an interest in this case?
I have, sir. Private Tim Collins, Fire Department. I'm here because he's Cody's front man. He's in this racket up to his neck.
That will do.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'll have plenty to say when the time comes.
You'll wait for the proper moment. Gentlemen, this hearing will be conducted informally, but I shall insist on order.
Well, all right.
Now, with that understanding, we may proceed. Chief Cody?
Your Honor, the case is perfectly simple. This man is the owner of a well-known restaurant, Lippett's Rainbow House, a nightclub in the heart of the city. As a matter of routine, we inspected his place. Collins, you have Inspector Buckram's report.
Right here, sir.
Well, give His Honor the inspector's recommendations.
Yes, sir. New escape doors and the present doors to be changed to open outwards, so people can get out quickly in case of fire. Stairways are too steep and narrow, need rebuilding. Decorations are combustible, should be made fire-resistant with chemical treatment. And, Mr. Mayor, this is an attempt to force me to spend a couple of $1,000 to rebuild and redecorate my place of business.
One moment, please. Mr. Lippett, if these conditions do exist in your restaurant, you admit that they violate safety regulations?
Regulations? It's a racket.
Now, hold on, Lippett. You've used that word once too often.
Chief Cody.
Well, all right, Your Honor. I'll hang on to my temper.
You may proceed, Mr. Lippett. You've made a very serious charge.
I'll make it more serious, Mr. Mayor. I say this man, Cody, is running a racket to compel people like me to contract for expensive jobs of reconstruction or else. I claim that he can be bought off. I claim he's a crook.
Lippett, you've gone too far.
Chief Cody, take your seat.
I demand an investigation of Chief Cody and his alleged safety regulations.
Lippett, you'll eat those words.
Chief Cody, that will do.
My record is clean. Nobody can accuse me.
That will do. Mr. Lippett, you can compel an investigation. I must warn you, however, that it will consume a great deal of time.
Mr. Mayor, it's my duty to insist.
It was my hope to clear up this situation quickly. You realize that an investigation may drag on for months. But if you can't make good on your charges, You'll have ruined Chief Cody's reputation and accomplished nothing.
Well, that's all he wants. Your Honor, the fact is...
Chief Cody, for the last time as your superior officer, I order you to...
Your Honor, you have my resignation.
What?
Chief Cody, let's not act hastily in the heat of the moment.
Your Honor, I stand by what I just said. For the good of the service.
But this I cannot, Chief Cody. I beg you to reconsider.
Sir, I've given my life to the department. Now, if I can serve better as a private citizen, well, you'll receive my formal resignation through the mail.
I have no choice but to accept it, Chief. Mr. Cody, with the greatest regret. Mr. Lippert, you're to be congratulated.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I knew he couldn't take it.
Yes, you won your fight. At who knows what cost to our city. Now we may as well adjourn.
No. No, not yet, Your Honor. The hearing has just begun.
Yes, but this is... Well, you have no standing now that you've resigned your post.
I have, sir, as a private citizen. And, Lippert, I'm going to talk to you as one citizen to another. For the protection of all our citizens.
Cody, you're through. You resigned under fire.
I did, and that's why you lose. Your Honor, Lippert wanted an investigation. He knew it would drag on for months, until the public forgot what it was all about. And meanwhile, Lippert could have his own way. He could defeat the whole purpose of our safety campaign.
I see. With time passing, his position would become stronger every day.
Yes, but now I'm out of the fire department. There's nobody to investigate but Lippert himself.
Oh, you can't do that to me. Mr. Mayor, I demand protection.
Mr. Lippert, you brought this on yourself. Now you go on, Cody.
Thank you. Today, the very minute I leave this office, I mean to begin a fight that will close down Lippert's Rainbow House if need be. Already the Firefighters Brigade and their parents are clamoring for action.
But that's unfair. You'll ruin me, Cody.
Yes, I'll ruin you if I have to rouse our people to the need for safety regulations.
Mr. Mayor, you heard him threaten me. I demand protection.
Lippert, your only chance is to protect yourself.
Well, how can I if Cody turns the whole city against me?
You can protect yourself by doing now and without delay what you should have done in the first place. You can follow the recommendations of the fire department to make your Rainbow House safe against fire.
But why, that means rebuilding.
Then you'll rebuild. Or every ounce of authority I can assemble will be thrown into the fight on Cody's side. Now, do you understand me?
Well...
Do you understand me?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll do it. I have no choice.
It is for you, Bob Cody.
Yes, sir?
I think I understand you. No sacrifice you could make would be too great to protect your fellow citizens against fire. We honor you for it.
I thank you, sir.
But if I hear any more from you about resigning your post, I'll send you back to probationary training, but I won't let you resign.
Yes, sir.
I'll get back to headquarters where you belong. His hearing stands adjourned.
In the crowded lobby outside the mayor's office, Chief Cody and Tim Collins paused for a handshake and a few quick words.
Oh, good grief, sir. That was a close shave.
Yes, close enough, but it's all over now.
Chief Cody, did you really mean it? Would you have really resigned from the fire department?
You heard me, Collins. I meant every word of it.
Oh, but, sir, if the people don't care enough about fire prevention, if they weren't wise enough, except for a few like Lippert, to back up your program, sir...
Son, it's our job to risk anything to fight fire.
Oh, yes, sir, sure. Of course it is.
And preventing fire is one of our chief ways to fight that old fire demon. So, well, yes, I would have resigned, Collins. It means a lot to me being chief of the department, but... well, I'd risk even that for as good a reason as I had today.
Oh, well, for me, sir, I'd rather fight a 5-alarm blaze any day
than men like Lippert. Yes, so would I. Well, let's get back to our real work. And, Private Collins.
Yes, sir.
You're relieved of special duty. Report to your post. Get back to Engine Company 209.
Yes, sir. I'm on my way.
Tim makes his way across town as fast as he can, heading for his post with Engine Company 209. And as he enters the firehouse, he hears...
211. That's for us. Let's roll.
So Tim Collins, rookie fireman, returns to duty. But before he can report to his officer, he hears an alarm, and he leaps aboard 209 as the great engine prepares to roll. Tim doesn't know it, but he is on the verge of a thrilling adventure. For the story of this exciting alarm, listen to our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you boys and girls how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now Chief Bob Cody with a special assignment for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Boys and girls, this is Chief Cody. And here's a little trick I want you to know. Sometimes we firefighters get into a spot where the smoke is so thick we can't see where we're going. So when we first go in, we pay special attention to the floorboards. That's right. We feel around to see which way the floorboards run. That is, if they run from the doorway to the opposite wall or crosswise. Then, when we want to find the door, we just feel our way getting the direction from those floorboards. Now, you might remember that in case it comes in handy someday. Well, so long for now. You'll be hearing from me.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's roll! Let's go! Firefighters!
Autolite and its 98,000 dealers bring you Mr. Lloyd Nolan in tonight's presentation of Suspense. Tonight, Autolite presents a true story of crime and punishment. The fame of this actual case rests with the singular qualities of its characters. The detective is no better than ordinary, and the killer is a man without a future. The story is called The Man with Two Faces. Our star, Mr. Lloyd Nolan.
Hello, Mr. Wilcox.
Hi, Sam, my friendly Autolite spark plug man. How's the advocate of those able, admirable, and advantageous Autolite spark plugs?
Oh, I'm fine, Mr. Wilcox.
You sure are, Sam, and that's why I tell car owners to bring their cars into you for a spark plug checkup. You know, Sam, that unless spark plugs are operating properly, you won't get the smooth and economical performance you expect from your car.
It pays to have spark plugs checked every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, Arlo.
Right you are, Sam. And if cleaning or adjustments are needed, your friendly Autolite spark plug dealer has the latest equipment to give you the best spark plug service money can buy. And if he finds your spark plugs are worn out or wrong for your style of driving, your Autolite spark plug dealer will replace them with the world-famous ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, either standard or resistor type. To locate him, look for the Autolite spark plug sign, or just phone Western Union by number and ask for Operator 25. She'll tell you the name of your nearest Autolite spark plug dealer. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite. And now, Autolite presents The Man with Two Faces, the documented story of an actual crime, starring Lloyd Nolan, hoping once again to keep you in suspense.
They dug him up on my birthday. He was 6 feet tall and 4 feet under. It was just an accident. They were digging in a cellar and they found the buried packing case. They hauled it out and opened it. Inside the case, they found a steamer trunk. They opened that. He was jammed inside, doubled up, his knees against his chest. All he had for company was a pile of quicklime. He was wearing a blue suit, a big smile, and 2 holes in his skull. The best dressed skeleton you ever saw. My name, Palachek, Gus R. Detective Lieutenant, badge number 1416. I've been a cop for the city of Cleveland for 19 years. The last 14 of them, I've worked out a homicide. I'm not a chowderhead and I'm not a Sherlock Holmes. I'm strictly average. I try to make it with what I've got. If that doesn't do, they call for a smarter man. They should have had one around the day they dug up the skeleton. We completed our preliminary investigation at the spot where the packing case was uncovered. There wasn't much. I drove back downtown to check with the medical examiner. Hi, Sam. How's it going?
Oh, hi, Gus. Happy birthday.
Yeah, sure is. You about done with him?
Just finished. Don't envy you.
Find anything at all?
No question it's a homicide. Where'd they dig him up, anyway?
Basement of an empty building out on Euclid Avenue. Hey, by the way, how long would you say he's been dead?
About 3 years.
And they had to dig him up on my birthday.
There's a few things here that might help you.
What's that?
Possible description of the victim. It's only partial. I figured it out from the skeleton, size of the bones, general structure.
Uh-huh. What else?
This piece of bridge work here. Put in a little leg work. You might find the dentist who made it.
You go through the clothing?
Here's the label that was sewed inside the coat.
Custom tailors since 1885, 10th near Parkway.
That's it.
Dead at least 3 years.
That's the way I figured, 3 years. Looks like a long hike for you, Gus.
Let's hope it's not for nothing. As I say, masterminds don't run in our family. I have a tough enough time figuring a homicide that's 3 hours old, let alone one that's going on for 3 years. With me, tracking a killer, strictly hammer and saw work. I grab what I figure's the strongest lead and start hiking from there. The next day, I checked with the custom tailors who had their label in the suit we find on the skeleton.
This suit here?
That's right. It's got your label on it. You remember who you sold it to?
What's the matter? This some kind of a joke?
I don't pound the pavement for laughs. What are you talking about?
Well, this isn't my suit. It's a fake.
Huh?
Look, in my whole life, I never made a suit like this. It's a fake. Somebody took my label and sewed it into a cheap store suit.
You sure of that?
Well, naturally, I'm sure. Here. Look.
Yeah?
Look at how it's made. This is not hand stitching. It's stitching made by a machine. Cheap store suit.
The label on the suit was an obvious plant, something the killer figured throw us off the track. This being true, then why did he leave behind something as telltale as a piece of bridge work in the mouth of his victim? I had another talk with the medical examiner. We double-checked the victim's remains.
I don't see what we're going to prove from this piece of bridge work.
Say, what's the average number of teeth a man has?
See? Full-grown male, 32.
Uh-huh. And how many did you count in the victim's mouth?
31. Only had one extraction, a molar, I could tell that. Oh, I see what you mean.
Only one tooth pulled. Yet he had a bridge loose in his mouth with 4 molars in it. That's 35 in my book.
Yeah, 3 more than any normal man could possibly have.
Yeah.
Well, why would the killer plant a piece of bridge work? What for?
When I find him, I'll ask him. That made 2 phony plants the killer had made. The piece of bridge work and the suit label. I looked for one more. I found it. The victim's hair had remained intact. It was dark brown and gray. I took a couple of specimens and had them checked.
Someone's playing games, Gus.
How do you mean, Doc?
A specimen of the dark brown hair. It's fine, silky texture.
Uh-huh.
Gray hair's thick, coarse. Big difference.
Possibly could have come from the same head?
Not a chance in the world.
3 phony plants. The bridge work, the label, and the hair. I began to wonder about the packing case and the steamer trunk the skeleton had been found in. The trunk was a cheap, mass-produced item. 3 years' worth of mildew wrecked any chance of picking some kind of a lead from it. The packing case which contained the trunk was a little different. There was block lettering on one side of it. It spelled out the name of George Gallagher. Below that, it read Harrisburg Avenue. But where the street number would have been, the surface of the packing case had been scraped away. I started to work on the packing case angle. I had the manager of one of the factories in town that makes them look at the case. It wasn't standard size. It was a custom-made job, built to hold the murder trunk and nothing else. That's when the legwork began. weeks of it, months. February, March, April, May. I covered every factory that made packing cases for 100 miles around. It got me nothing. I kept at it. June 5th, I checked a small box factory about 15 miles south of town. The manager's name was Higgins.
Let's see now. I thought I recalled it. Huh. Oh, yeah, here it is.
The same dimensions I gave you, Mr. Higgins?
Exactly. An odd-sized case. That's why I remembered it. Yeah, this is it, all right.
Did you take the order for it?
No, Carl did. Carl Pearson. He was the other clerk.
How do you mean he was?
Well, Carl's dead. Poor fellow. Sick for a long time. He passed away 3-4 months ago.
Well, do you have the name of the man who ordered the case, Mr. Higgins?
Yeah, right here. It was George Gallagher. Yeah, Gallagher.
And you people delivered the packing case?
Uh-huh, that's right.
Where?
Harrisburg Avenue, number 6913.
The first real break in 6 months. It had finally arrived. I felt pretty good about things on our way back to the city. The feeling didn't last long. When I got to the right block on Harrisburg Avenue, I found out that the delivery address for the packing case did not exist. 6913 Harrisburg Avenue was a vacant lot. I started canvassing every house in the neighborhood. No one had seen a packing case of any size delivered anywhere near the vacant lot. It took a week of climbing stairs, pushing doorbells, before I found a neighborhood gossip who claimed that she had seen the packing case delivered. Her name was Emma Mackenzie.
Why, yes, of course I remember it. I remember seeing it standing there that day.
Standing where, Mrs. Mackenzie?
Well, right at the front of that empty lot down the street. Large packing case. Half of it blocking the sidewalk. Oh, certainly made me mad.
Well, how do you mean, man? What made you mad?
Well, there were a couple of nails sticking out of the case. And on my way to the store that afternoon, I happened to pass by it, and my coat got caught on one of the nails. My good black coat. Oh, it made a terrible rip.
I see.
Yes. I turned to this young fellow standing next to the case, and I really told him. I remember very well. It was just last year.
Excuse me, ma'am. You said last year?
Yes, that's right. Happened about a year ago. Well, maybe a little longer.
You're sure that it wasn't 2 or maybe 3 years ago?
Oh, no, I remember distinctly. At the most, I'd say it couldn't have been more than, 14 or 15 months ago.
Well, now, this young fellow that was standing next to the packing case, you happen to remember what he looked like, ma'am?
Well, not in any detail, no. He was tall, though, on the thin side. And he had buck teeth, I remember that. Used foul language.
About how old would you say he was?
Oh, not more than 28 or 30.
Uh-huh. Now, how about his hair? You remember what color it was?
Why, yes, it was blonde.
When I finished talking to Mrs. Mackenzie, I didn't know where I stood. Either I was wrong about the killer's hair being dark brown or gray, or else there was more than one man mixed up in the homicide. And more important, the case was only 1 year old. So somewhere along the line, the medical examiner made a mistake, a big one. Maybe it was the quicklime that threw him off, I don't know. The important thing was he was wrong. So the basement of the building wasn't vacant at the time the body was buried. I checked back with the owners of the building and found out that at the time it was occupied by a laundry that had since gone out of business, the White Star Laundry. The owner and manager turned out to be a Myron Wagner. I finally located him at his home in the south end of the city the night of the 4th of July. It was a big gray house set well back off the street. Wagner was an Austrian immigrant, pleasant, cooperative. I interviewed him in the dimly lighted living room. It was a hot night. Outside, you could hear the kids with their fireworks.
What can I do for you, Lieutenant?
Well, it's just a couple of questions for you, Mr. Wagner. Try not to hold you up.
Oh, that's all right. I'm not going anyplace. What is it you wanted to know?
You owned and operated a laundry in the basement of a building downtown on Euclid Avenue. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. We're out of business now, though. Have been for some time.
You closed down about 12, 14 months ago?
Yes, that's right. We didn't have much luck.
I'd like a straight answer, Mr. Wagner. Did you ever know a young fellow by the name of George Gallagher? Mr. Wagner?
Yes, I know the boy. I guess I should say I knew him.
You tell me anything about him?
Well, he came to me one day asking for a job, George did. I thought he was a nice-looking fellow. He was tall and blond and clean-looking. I hired him as a night watchman in the laundry. He seemed to like the job. We got along fine together.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
But then, one night, I went back to the laundry to get my briefcase. There were some tax papers in it I wanted. Well, after I got them, I went down to the basement to say goodnight to George. He met me on the stairs, a crazy look on his face. I didn't know what's wrong with him. I didn't know if he was drunk or what it was.
What'd he do?
Oh, yeah, he screamed at me. Go back. Don't come any further. Come down here and I'll brain you. Well, I got out as fast as I could. I thought he'd been drinking.
You happen to see what he was doing down in the basement?
No. He had a shovel in his hand. That's all I remember.
All right, what happened? You fire him?
Well, I didn't have the chance. He left that night. He never came back.
Did you read in the paper about the body that was dug up from the basement?
Yes.
You think Gallagher's responsible?
Well, I don't know what else to think. I can never forget it. He came up the stairs toward me, screaming at me, holding that shovel, screaming. And his hands.
Yeah?
Both his hands. Covered with blood.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Lloyd Nolan in The Man with Two Faces. Tonight's presentation in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Say, Harlow, you want smoother performance, quick starts, and double spark plug life?
I sure do, Sam, and I know you're talking about the outstanding advantages of the Autolite resistor spark plug. The greatest advancement in spark plugs for automotive use in the past 20 years.
I sure am, Harlow, because
the Autolite resistor spark plug is original equipment on many leading makes of our finest cars. And, like the complete line of ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, is famous throughout the world for quality and performance.
And you get something extra with the Autolite resistor spark plug.
And that's the exclusive Autolite 10,000-ohm resistor built right into every Autolite resistor spark plug to make possible such extra advantages as smoother performance, quick starts, and double spark plug life. So, friends, see your nearest Autolite spark plug dealer. Have him check your spark plugs, and if replacements are needed, he'll install ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, either standard or resistor type. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Lloyd Nolan in Elliot Lewis's production of The Man with Two Faces, a true report well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I talked to Myron Wagner for another hour, but I got nowhere. He was sure the time and date he'd seen George Gallagher in the basement of the laundry, and he was sure he'd seen blood all over Gallagher's hands. He couldn't give me any idea who the victim might have been, and he didn't know a thing about Gallagher's possible whereabouts. I asked him why he didn't report it at the time, but he told me he was afraid the bad publicity might hurt his laundry business. The next break came in early October. We found a pawn shop in the downtown area that had loaned $20 on a watch to a George Gallagher almost 22 months before. The watch had never been redeemed. It had a name engraved on its back, Albert L. Henderson. The city directory had an A.L. Henderson listed at a Hanford Street address. I checked it out. A dark-haired woman who identified herself as Mrs. Henderson answered the door. After the preliminaries, I showed her the watch.
Yes, my husband's watch. Where did you get that?
Where's your husband now, Mrs. Henderson? Is he home?
No. I don't know where he is.
Well, when do you expect him home? Can you tell me that?
Well, no. You see, he's gone. He's got in some trouble. He ran away.
When was this, ma'am? How long ago?
Oh, about 2 years. 2 years in November next month. He was partnerships in business. He stole the money. He ran away.
You any idea where he is now, Mrs. Henderson? You ever hear from him?
No. Never. No letters, nothing. He went away one day. He never came back.
Uh-huh. Who had told you about your husband stealing the money? His business partner?
Yes, Mr. Hoffman. Myron Hoffman. He's a nice man. Albert was lucky to have him for a partner. I don't know why he did it.
Now, about this watch, Mrs. Henderson. Did your husband ever pawn this watch at any time?
What, pawn his watch? Oh, not Albert. That's the last thing he would let go.
And one thing I can't understand, why didn't you ever make an attempt to find your husband? File a missing persons report.
Why should I want to find him? A thief. No good. Let him stay missing. I don't want to find him.
This business partner of your husband's, ma'am, this Mr. Hoffman, where can I get in touch with him, do you know?
No, I guess I don't. He went away, I guess, I think a year ago, maybe longer.
You got any idea where he might have gone?
Well, I don't know. He seemed to talk a lot about New York City. I never asked him, but I thought that's where he came from. They were always talking about New York City, him and John.
Who's John?
That's Mr. Hoffman's nephew, John Mueller. He worked for my husband and Mr. Hoffman in the business.
Oh, I see. Well, I'd like to locate them if I could, ma'am. Can you describe Hoffman and his nephew for me, please?
Well, I guess Mr. Hoffman was about 50, 52, gray hair, about my height, 5 feet 6 inches.
Uh-huh.
His nephew John was tall, little thin maybe. He had blonde hair. He was a young fellow, about 30 years, I think.
Are you sure of that description, are you?
Oh, yes, they came here to the house for dinner a few times, both John and Mr. Hoffman. I knew them.
Well, would you give me a description of your husband?
Albert? Well, he was a big man, as tall as the nephew John. Dark hair, gray eyes, 43 years old. He was a heavy man, 180 pounds, I think. Why do you want to know, officer?
How about your husband's teeth, Mrs. Henderson? At the time he disappeared, did he still have his own?
Oh, yes. Albert had wonderful teeth. Strong.
Uh-huh. Did he ever have one of his teeth pulled out, do you know?
Yes, just one. Why?
I guess that does it.
Does it? Well, this makes no sense. I don't think I like this.
No, ma'am. I don't think Albert liked it either. The next day, we got out an all-points bulletin on Myron Hoffman and his nephew, John Mueller, alias George Gallagher. We finally tied in the last piece of evidence. The day after, I took a train for New York City. I spent the better part of a month there. Legwork, phone calls, more legwork. It didn't go for nothing. December 13th, I took the train back to Cleveland. Next morning, I checked in with Captain Rogers, in charge of homicide.
Palachek? How'd it go? Good trip?
Tired. I think we made the grade, Captain.
Mm-hmm. What's the story?
I got enough here to start a novel. Here's page 1.
Yeah?
Mr. Henderson's business partner, Myron Hoffman. He's from New York, all right. He's got a record there long as your arm. Bunco, forgery, narcotics, grand theft, robbery, everything but murder. Here's a collection of his mugshots.
Mm-hmm. None of them too recent.
No, I know. That's the only drawback. Last one taken 12 years ago. It's pretty interesting, though. Here, take a look at those profile shots.
Yeah. All the difference in the world.
See? Left side of his face. How about that, huh? Looks pious enough to pass for a saint.
Huh. Queer one.
Put it next to his right profile shot of him. You'd swear it wasn't the same man.
Looks like the worst thief in the world.
It's not a bad advantage, huh? Saint on one side, thief on the other, 2 on 1.
Well, what does it mean?
All right, let me lay out the rest of it. Now, this Hoffman's nephew, John Mueller, he used that George Gallagher alias.
Yeah.
I found his sister. She told me she hasn't seen her brother for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a flyer. I got the name of Mueller's dentist from his sister, looked him up, showed him the bridge work we took off the skeleton. He identified it. He made it for John Mueller, Gallagher, 5 years ago.
All right. Oh, where does that leave us?
I'm still guessing. Now, nobody gives up their bridge work, not without a struggle, anyway. I think we got another body to look for.
Yeah, fair guess. Hoffman and his nephew killed Henderson. Then Hoffman killed the nephew, took his bridge work, planted it on Henderson's body, and buried it. Anything to throw us off the track.
That's my guess.
The owner of the laundry, Myron Wagner, that story of his about the blonde kid, the shovel blood on his hands, kind of makes a liar out of him, doesn't it?
No big change.
What do you mean?
He was a liar long before we met him. December 15th, my birthday, 1 year, right to the date. I left the office, got in a car, and drove to the south end of the city. I pulled up in front of the same gray house, got out, and walked up the stairs to the front door. The name on the mailed box was still the same, Myron J. Wagner. He answered the door himself, ushered me into the same dimly lighted living room. He was calm, relaxed, perfectly at ease.
It was very good of you to come, Lieutenant Palachek. The early evening, good time to visit.
Well, it's not a social call, Mr. Wagner. A few things I want to talk to you about. You want to get your hat and coat?
My hat and my coat? What is it you mean?
We want you downtown, Mr. Wagner. A couple of questions we'd like to ask.
Questions? About the Gallagher boy, you mean? I told you everything the last time you were here, Lieutenant Belichick.
Now, look, Mr. Wagner, this happens to be my birthday. I got a family. I want to get home early tonight. I'll put it straight to you.
Put it straight?
Yeah, I'll draw you a road map. Now, for a whole year, I've been pounding my feet east, west, and south in the city and out of it. I'm not a smart cop, mister, but I can still put one and one together. It adds up to you, Wagner. Now, how about the hat and coat?
It adds up to me, Lieutenant Belichick. I don't think I understand.
Number one, your name's Myron Hoffman, not Myron Wagner. We've got your mug shots, your prints, and exemplars of your handwriting from New York to prove it. Number two, you killed Albert Henderson and buried him in the basement of that building where you had your laundry. And besides that, it's odds on you killed your nephew, too.
You assume this, or you have proof? Which one?
90% proof. Your hair, Wagner, I'll bet on it. Same kind that was planted on Henderson's body. Same color, same texture. There's a bum bet, mister, right from the start. Why'd you try?
You want me to get my coat?
Yeah, I'll go with you. Yeah. Hey, I'm just curious, Wagner. You want to turn on the overhead lights?
Yes. All right. My face. Is that it?
Lord. Good Lord.
There are two sides to a face, Lieutenant. Look at both of them. You will find one of them is good.
We better get your coat.
Just one thing. My friend Henderson, my nephew John.
Yeah?
As you say, just as you say, a bum bet. Why did I even try?
Hey, Wagner. What's the matter? Wagner! The deputy coroner got there a half an hour later. He ran a fast check on Wagner, and he put his money on a heart attack. The autopsy confirmed it. Later on, I tried to explain what it was like. I mean, standing there and watching Wagner's life suddenly drop out of him. He turned to start for the door when his hands went up to his chest. I reached for him, but not in time. He straightened out on the floor. That's when I noticed his face. The left side. The side that made him look like a saint. It was changing. In front of my own eyes. The whole face, the whole side of it, fading all into one. Like a thick brown stain over the skin. The same look as the right side of the face. Dirty, dark, twisted. It was all there. It was frozen into his eyes and his mouth. All the evil in the world in one face. I saw it happen. I saw it with my own eyes.
Suspense. A true story presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Lloyd Nolan.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for Autolite, world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. Autolite is proud to serve the greatest names in the industry. They are members of the Autolite family, as well as are the 98,000 Autolite distributors and dealers in the United States and thousands more in Canada and throughout the world. Our family also includes the nearly 30,000 men and women in 28 great Autolite plants from coast to coast and Autolite plants in many foreign countries. Every Autolite product is backed by constant research and precision built to the highest standards of quality and performance. So remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week, the story about a group of brave men who risked their lives in a desperate effort to save their fellow men. The true story entitled Arctic Rescue. Our star, Mr. Joseph Cotton. That's next week on Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by Elliot Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The Man with Two Faces was adapted for Suspense by James Moser from the recent book Alan Hines' Murder. Featured in tonight's cast were Jeanette Nolan, Martha Wentworth, Tom Tully, Ralph Sedan, Joseph Kearns, Lou Merrill, and Eddie Fields. Remember, next week, Joseph Cotton in Arctic Rescue.
You can buy Autolite resistor or standard type spark plugs, Autolite stay-full batteries, and Autolite electrical parts at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
National Broadcasting Company presents Lights Out, a summer revival of some of the best stories in the series, which many of our listeners will remember. Tonight's story, the fifth in the current series, is called The Revenge of India.
Lights out. Everybody. This is the witching hour. It is the hour when dogs howl and evil is let loose on a sleeping world. Sit in the dark now and listen to Lights Out.
I assure you, it's not a lot of tosh, Bryce. When you've been in India as long as I have...
Yes, quite, sir. But I've yet to see anything supernatural, you know.
You stay here long enough, and you'll see a jolly lot of it.
Oh, come now, sir. I've read Kipling and Talbot and Mundy, you know, sir. And after all I can say is they've a fine imagination, each of them. But things, all this magic stuff and so on, they don't happen, really.
You must meet Treverson sometime, Bryce.
I should like to.
Arms, Sahib, for the love of Allah. Arms for the poor beggar, Sahib.
Now, where the devil did you come from? I'll have that sentry.
Arms, Sahib.
Who now? Empty, you beggar.
In the name of Allah, Sahib.
You can't come in here, you know, old man. This is the place of the commissioner, Sahib.
Oh, in that case, Colonel Henderson, do you mind if I take off this stuff?
What?
Beastly hot.
What, Treverson? Leslie, by gad, man.
Hope I didn't give you too much of a start, sir.
I say, are you Treverson?
Right?
I'm dreadfully sorry, sir. I didn't realize it. I'm Bryce at D.C.
I know. How'd you do?
I say.
Well, sit down, old chap. Cheroot? Cigarette?
Thanks. Cigarette would be good. I haven't tasted tobacco for a long time.
Light, Major?
Yeah. Gad, that tastes good.
Right you are.
Well, needn't worry any more about Ismail Khan, sir.
Really?
No. He unfortunately met death a week ago. A Martini Henry slug right between his eyes. Beastly mess, too, if you ask me.
And where did you get a Martini Henry, Leslie?
The beggar man that shot Ismail Khan took it away from a patron gentleman he met one night up in the hills, you know.
Did you shoot Ismail Khan, Major Treverson?
I thought I said a certain beggarman shot him, Mr. Bryce.
Yes.
So, as I was saying, I'm sorry to have barged in on you as I did, complete with musical comedy costume and all. But there are chaps lurking about that'd be delighted to snaffle Treverson, you know.
I'm sorry, sir. But just how did you get in here? There are 2 sentries to pass.
They didn't see me, Mr. Bryce.
They didn't? Oh, but I say. They're both sepoys out of that place, the crew know. Soldiers.
Mr. Bryce, Major Treverson has said that they did not see him. I think it would be a good idea if you took his word for it.
But it's impossible. Will you forgive me, sir?
There's a scorpion alongside your foot, Mr. Bryce.
What? The devil. Beastly thing. Now, how could a scorpion?
Have a look at what you've trod on, Mr. Bryce.
Gad, my watch. Why, where did the scorpion come?
You must be more careful in mistaking your watch for a scorpion. That mistake, you know.
But I say, I saw a scorpion. I saw the ruddy thing.
Quite, Mr. Bryce. And the sentries did not see Major Treverson.
Right.
Pop along. There's a good chat, Bryce. Treverson and I have things to discuss.
Yes, sir. Perhaps it isn't all toss, sir. It's that.
Rum chap. Just out, you know. Got a lot to learn.
Yes, quite.
So, Ismail Khan has gone to his reward.
If any, yes. And now, sir, I should like to apply for a month's leave.
Delighted, Leslie. You've earned it if any man has. Going to do some shooting?
Perhaps, sir. It's on account of that cablegram you've got lying down your desk.
Cablegram? By gad, I'd forgotten about it. It came for you this morning. Here.
No need to open it, sir. I know what's in it.
You know? Oh. Well...
It's about Basil, my brother.
Oh, but my dear boy, how could you?
He's dead, Colonel Henderson. And I've got to go to America to see certain people about it, you know.
Thou art my father and my mother, Sahib. I welcome thee home.
Roger, Singh. It's good to see you.
I have made ready a whiskey soda of great strength.
Good man.
And was the hunting good, Sahib?
Ismail Khan lies dead.
Made jackals rend his body and affrights his soul. How died he, Sahib?
By a Martina Henry slug between the eyes, you think?
And thy hand sped the bullet, Sahib?
The sightly, unclean hand of Ali the beggarman sped the bullet, my friend.
Thou didst not call upon me, Sahib.
There was no need, Josing.
In my youth, I knew this Ismail Khan. He was a man of many weaknesses. Now he has gone away. It is good, Sahib. Will Sahib have his bath now?
Yes, a bath and fresh linen, and then we have to pack.
The bath is ready.
Good. Bring another whiskey soda in, too, Josing.
It is already awaiting thee, Sahib.
Right. Well, shove these rags into the dustbin, will you, then?
Ah, my master.
Fresh water.
I will dress thy hair, Sahib, when the bath is done, and shave thee also. It is not fitting that Treverson of the police shall wear a beard like unto a Sikh.
I should be glad if I rated it, Singh, but being British...
Being British, there are certain things, Sahib, that may not be done. Did this Sahib say we are to go away from this place?
I am going away, Singh, yes.
And I, thy servant?
You are to stay here.
I hear and obey. But hast thou taken thought that I am useful as a gun-bearer, Sahib, for the shooting?
Yes. But there's to be no shooting, you see, Singh.
It is perhaps hidden from thy servant, then.
You, knew about my brother?
I did not wish to speak, Sahib.
You knew, though.
It was not hidden from me, Sahib.
They crushed his head, my friend.
It was revealed to me, and I took thought how to avenge the brother of my master. If so be my master return not from the hill.
Good man, Singh.
I have learned the manner of using the kukri, the curved razor knife of Johnny Gurkha, Sahib.
Nay, it is not so written. It is my blood feud, and I must go.
Sahib goes away to America?
To America. Hand me the towel, Singh, will you?
Here it is, master. Thy bags are already packed, Sahib.
Eh?
For I took thought to myself, Sahib, how thou wouldst do when the news was given unto thee. And I said, the Sahib will do thus and so the bags are packed.
Oh, good. That's better than I hoped. I'm leaving tonight.
And I go not with thee.
No. No, it's a job for me, and I'm afraid you'll be recognized, Josing. But,
Your robe, master.
Oh, thank you.
If master hath need of dear Singh, he has but to speak the word.
Quite. Then go and do thus for me. I will go by airplane to Baghdad, and on to London. Then a swift ship to New York, an airplane to Chicago. And there? Well,
thou wilt not take me, Sahib.
No, old friend. I think this is a job for me alone.
In my youth, Sahib, as Risaldar of Lancers...
No, Josing. You go and arrange the bookings for me, and if I need you, I'll let you know. Now, my address will be in care of my friend Norman Gregg in Chicago. You could cable me.
Thou dost forget, my master. Is not thought swifter than the cable?
But, surely, Captain, you have some idea of where I might find this Monk Perrone?
Unfortunately, Major Trevison, we haven't.
You do know of him, though, don't you?
Yes. We'd like to know more. We're reasonably sure he's either behind or took part in at least 3 gang killings in the last 3 years.
But you lack proof. Is that it?
It isn't always easy.
I see. And what I've told you wouldn't be considered legal evidence.
I'm afraid not, Major Trevison. You won't mind my saying it, I know. Frankly, it seems a little fantastic to me that you in India could know exactly who murdered your brother when we right here on the ground haven't a trace of the evidence.
I know, Captain. The police are confined to more orthodox methods. But, could you even give me a lead as to where I might find some of his men?
Well, some of them used to hang around Mike's bar down on South State Street.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, I'll have the man at the desk outside give you the address.
Good. I might visit the place. And perhaps if I went down there and made a pretense of drinking just a bit too much, I might be able to flush out something.
I warn you. Please be careful, Major Travis.
Don't worry about me. Monk Perrone is a gentleman who needs to do a little worrying.
That's so. Just lead me to him is all I ask.
Hey, I think you got about enough to drink there, buddy.
Haven't either. Give me more whiskey. Whiskey! I'm going to find this Monk Perrone. I'll knock him down.
I wouldn't talk so free and easy if I was you, buddy. Now listen.
Quiet. Give me more whiskey. This Monk Perrone did my brother in. I'll find him and... more whiskey. Listen. Do you know where I can find Monk Perrone? I'll find him and knock his head right off his shoulder. That's all. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the guy. You can hear him a mile off.
Englishman, huh?
Yeah. You remember that young English guy that was kind of slumming down here 3 weeks ago, and he made a crack when Monk poked Lucille in the snoot?
A young English guy.
Yeah. Monk took a swipe at him with the brass knock and caved in his head, so he croaked.
Yeah, I try to remember.
You wanna? He had a lot of bucks on him, and Monk went and split up the bucks with all of them.
Oh, yeah, I remember. An Englishman,
Yeah. Well, this lad's here his brother, see? And he's come over here from dear old London to make it out, come out even, see? So he talks too much, see? And that's why Monk sent you down here to give me a lift with him.
What are we going to do, bump him?
No. I think Monk's going to give him a talking to or something and then set him down on the running board of the car and stretch his legs out.
Stretch his legs out? What for?
And I'll use a crowbar on him, above and below the knee, see?
Yeah.
And we leave him there to think it over, with maybe a busted jaw for good measure.
So he won't go around howling out Monk's name so much, see?
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Hey, listen. He's talking again.
Yeah, shall I go slap him down?
No, just take it easy. Come on, we'll ankle over there by him.
Yeah, and then I'll bust him.
You don't do nothing till I tell you, see?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Come on.
Okay.
The calf, that's what he is. A low down yellow calf. Runs like a yellow dog, that's what he does.
Hey, look, Bud.
Yes.
It ain't healthy to keep cracking about the monk around this here place, and you've been doing it a long time now.
Who are you?
Just a guy that don't want to see you making a sap of yourself, see?
You know Monk Perune? He killed my brother.
Listen, Bud. Come on in the back room with me a minute, and I'll tell you something.
What do you want to tell me?
Come on, and I'll tell you. Too crowded out here, see?
About Monk Perone?
Yeah, about Monk Perone. Come on. Here, Mike, take hold of his arm.
Yeah, sure. Come on, Bud.
Do you know him, mister? You know this coward, Monk Perone?
Open the door, Mike. Sure, I know him, Bud.
Hey, shall I drag him in, Sardo?
Yeah, hurry up.
Yeah.
Put him there in the Davenport.
Hey, he's heavier than I thought.
Too many cigarettes.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, there he is. Now, what do we do?
Sit down. Monk will be here pretty soon.
Hey, we got to stay here.
We gotta stay here, yeah.
Why don't we give him the works now? We won't have to wait.
Monk said to wait. See if there's anything to drink in that cupboard there.
Okay, wait. Yeah, here's a bottle.
Now bring it here.
Okay. Hey, there ain't much in it.
It'll be all right. Give me.
Say, now, wait, give me some.
After me comes you. Yeah.
Here, thanks, Shadow.
Don't mention it. Hey, are you sure you didn't bust this gimmick's skull?
Sure, I just hit him.
He ain't breathing very good.
He'll be all right.
I sure hope so. For your sake.
He'll be all right. Hey, who's that?
Shut up, Al. Yeah, who was it?
That you, Sardo?
No, it's the fish. Open the door.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have you got that Englishman yet, Sardo?
What do you think we was up here for?
Well, the boss wants to see him.
Where is he? Downstairs?
No, he says to bring him to the place out in Rogers Park.
No kidding.
Oh, listen, I should spend my time kidding you. Come on, he said be there by 11.
What am I supposed to do? Carry him on my hump?
No, I got a car downstairs.
Oh. Well, pick up the limey, Mike.
Listen, all I do is carry guys around.
Pick him up and shut up or I'll bend your noggin for you.
All right. I don't see why.
You ain't supposed to see nothing. Where's the heat, Fish?
Right outside. Come on.
Come on, Mike.
Yeah.
This was a pipe, Fish. He's lit up like a new saloon, and I give Mike the office, and it's all over.
Well, come on, let's get going.
You got a nice car that time, Fish.
Yeah, it's all right, ain't it?
Yeah, put him in the back.
Yeah, and hurry up.
Well, somebody open the door.
All right. Yeah, get aboard.
Okay.
Is he all right?
You all right, Mike?
I guess so.
Let's go.
How do you like this buggy, lad?
All right. Where'd you get it?
I found it. Yeah, I guess the boss is kind of anxious to get his hooks in this Englishman.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, he shot off his bazoo too much.
Yeah.
He come to yet, Mike?
Yeah. When I cloud them, they stay clouded.
Dear Singh. I call thee, dear Singh.
Acha Sahib, I hear thy voice.
Oh, dear Singh, hear me. I am in the hands of the Deophagist.
I see thee, my master.
I am bound and in a motor car. They take me to their master.
I am with thee, my master. Why didst thou wait to call me?
I I had called thee before this, dear thing. Say that I was struck from behind whilst I played the foolish drunkard to lure them to me. It is only a moment since I recovered.
Dost thou know thy destination, master?
I know it not. Remain now with me, or it may be that I shall learn.
Acha, Sahib.
Swell night, ain't it?
Yeah.
Look at the moon on the lake.
What about the moon on the lake?
It's nice.
Oh.
Hey,
yeah.
where we go? That place on Marlin Avenue?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I got a sister living next door, 1343.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. I could go sleep there when we get done. Won't have to go back downtown.
We ain't liable to stay there at the place. The boss will want to take 'em out somewhere's in the car, like I said.
I wouldn't talk so much if I was you, sort of.
Oh, yeah? Who's going to say anything?
Oh, anybody might. You know, the Englishman.
Ah, he's still out like I like.
Dear Singh,
I heed thee, Sahib.
hast thou heard?
I have heard, my master.
It is well.
I see thee now as thy conveyance passeth beside a great body of water. I did also hear of thy destination. It is in the city of Chicago.
Even so. Now hark ye, dear Singh.
Acha, Sahib.
The time for vengeance is near to hand. Go thou and find Moti Gunj of the bazaar and old Lally the fakir, and there await my word.
Hearing and obeying, Lord.
What's out there on the corner?
Nuts. Well, nuts is the squad car.
Well, I'll just unbust the old heater, though, kind of.
Hey, keep that heater where it belongs.
Hey, now listen.
They ain't gonna bother us.
Well,
all right. You see, they're going...
Hey, this is the place, ain't it?
Huh? Oh, yeah, I was going right past.
now get as close to the door as you can.
Hey, who's driving this heap, me or you?
Okay, Barney Oldfield, I was just telling you. Go ahead, Mike, grab the guy.
All right, go ahead and open the door, sort of. Here's the keys.
Okay. Now, don't pump them too much.
I won't open the elevator. Hey, third floor, ain't it?
I'll run it.
Okay. Fish coming up.
Yeah, he's going to put the car in the alley, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be glad when the boss gets here. I don't like galloping all over town with guys like this.
Yeah.
Now, let me out and I'll open the door.
Okay. Put him on the couch?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Hey, you must have socked him awful hard. He's still on.
Yeah, sure. When I shot him...
Stay socked. I know. Come on, let's go and sit down. I'm tired.
You're tired. Ha!
Not sit down.
Dear Singh,
I am with thee, master.
art thou with Moti Gunj and old Lally?
As thou sayest, even so, Sahib.
Good. Let old Lally now bring forth his snakes.
Snakes, master?
Aye, so. Many serpents. Fetch the hooded cobras and the kerites. Assemble them all in the place where thou art. And haste now.
Even as thou dost speak, so shall it be done, master. Ho, Moti Gunj. Ho, Lally.
It is good. No more now.
Hey, I think our little playmate's coming, too.
Yeah.
Just lay still, buddy, and nothing will happen to you. No.
Where am I?
You're in good hands, bud. Just lay still if you don't want another clout in the snozzle.
Who are you?
Shut him up, Mike. Yeah. Listen, pal, I'm gonna... Hey, what are you looking at? Hey, what are you looking at, I said? Who is it?
Let him in, Mike.
Yeah. Looking at me as if he's trying to stare me down.
Hey, what are you mumbling about?
I'm trying to... Looking at me funny.
Ah, you're nuts.
Stop staring at me or I'll...
Hey, is everybody around here nutty?
Well, he's looking at me. Do I alarm you, my friend?
Oh.
Oh, so you're okay now, huh? Hey, cut that out.
I'm going to get a drink.
I need one, too. Will you bring me one, sort of?
Yeah, all right.
Hey, I don't like the way he looks at you.
Well, smack him one.
No, I don't want to.
He's got something up his sleeve. What the? It's sort of. What's the matter, sort of? What's the matter? What the? It's a snake. A snake! Look at it. That's a great big...
Oh. He's dead. The snake. Where'd it go?
What I want to know is who done it.
Yeah, but look, there was a snake muck on it. A great big snake with his head all kind of swelled up. And a thing like a pair of glasses on.
You're a sap. Where would a snake come from?
Well, honest, God, it was there, boss. No fooling. We seen it. It kept biting Saul right in the face all the time. It was
you're
biting
both
him.
nuts. Hey, you, Englishman.
Are you addressing me, my good man?
My good man, huh? You want your neck busted? Hey. Stop looking at me.
Hey, he was looking at us like that.
Yeah, he was staring at us just like he's doing
Cut it out, I tell you.
Oh, hey, look, he's snakes.
Hey, where did they come from? Get up on the chair.
Help!
I can that. I'll get him.
Help!
I say it won't do any good to shoot at them, you know, Perone.
Help! It's coming after me! It's coming after me!
It got him, Monk. Oh, look out, Monk! Look out!
Stop him. You brought him here. You
Yes, he done it.
Help! Help!
That's the great King Cobra, Perone.
Oh, look. Hey, get him off me. Call him off. Take him away.
That little snake fish is called a kerite. It is the most deadly snake of all India. Tiny, venomous. So, Brother Basil, I think that evens things a little, old boy.
Wrong ho, Sahib. Thou hast had thy vengeance.
It is so, Jai Singh. Thou hast done well. Pay my thanks to Moti Gunj and Lali.
They greet thee, Sahib. Oh, Sahib, I all but forgot. I did go unto Colonel Henderson, Sahib, the Commissioner of Police.
Peace, Jai Singh. I will speak with thee anon.
Open up. We're police officers.
Coming, gentlemen.
You Major Treverson?
I am.
Well, where's Monk? Holy Mother. Will you look at him?
Dead. And so is this one.
Fish Ellis. What the devil happened, Major?
I really couldn't say, gentlemen. I was in the other room, you know.
Well, I'll be. This is the dangest thing I've ever run up against.
Tell me, how in the world did you happen to come up here, gentlemen? I was kidnapped in a place downtown.
Why, the funniest thing, Major Treverson. You see, the chief got a cablegram.
A cablegram?
Yes, sir. It gave the address and all the details of this whole business here. And the funny thing was, it was signed by a Colonel Henderson, supposed to be the Commissioner of Police in Calcutta, India, for the love of Mike.
All right. You can turn them on now.
You have just heard Lights Out. This was the fifth in the summer revival of the best stories of this famous series. In tonight's cast, you heard Wilms Herbert as Treverson, Sidney Breeze as Henderson, Wallace Owen as Bryce, Tony Parrish as Jir Singh, Boris Aplon as Peroni, Arthur Hearn as Sawdoff, Roy Engel as Mike, and Les Spears as Fish Ellis. Next Saturday night, Lights Out presents the story of what happened to a newsreel camera crew that was sent out to photograph a haunted house. Well, they found the place all right. And they found the ghosts also, although they weren't very photogenic. But we won't tell you what happened after that. we suggest you kind of haunt your own radio along about this time next Saturday night and find out for yourself. Lights Out is produced and directed by Albert Cruz. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
The Signal Oil Program, The Whistler. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invites you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am the Whistler. And I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, the Whistler's strange story, Determined Traveler.
Standing in the lobby of the Hotel Continental in Pisa, Italy, with a group of some 20 other tourists, Clara Marshall, age 25, and attractive enough to draw attention anywhere, was smiling quietly to herself, and with good reason. Yes, Clara, for the past 8 months you've handled things perfectly, haven't you? Wanted by the Chicago police for your part in a series of fraudulent stock transactions, you slipped out of town and covered your tracks so successfully, they lost all trace of you. Some weeks later, in a Los Angeles bookstore, you casually made the acquaintance of elderly, wealthy Harriet Wilson. And you took full advantage of this chance meeting, didn't you, Clara? Yes. Now you're not only her trusted employee, but her friend and traveling companion on a tour of Europe, and waiting on a foggy Italian morning to accompany her on a guided tour of Pisa.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm forced to cancel today's tour. It's too foggy.
What do you mean? Oh, but, Guy, the streetcars are running. You needn't drive the bus.
I'm sorry, Miss Marshall. It would be impossible to take a group this size through the foggy city on streetcars. It's too dangerous.
But we don't plan to come through this city again. And Miss Wilson had so counted on seeing the Leaning Tower. Isn't that right, Harriet?
Yes, I had looked forward to
And
it.
you know we're leaving this afternoon. Please, Guide, won't you reconsider?
Miss Marshall, in the interest of the group as a whole, I'm sorry, really.
Pardon me, miss. I couldn't help overhearing it. Seems a shame that visitors who are so interested in seeing historical places shouldn't see them.
Well, it looks as if not much is going to be done about that.
Well, I was going to suggest
Oh?
that I'd be glad to take you to the Leaning Tower. It really isn't far from here.
Oh, would you? Oh, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it, Harriet?
Well, why, yes, it would.
Well, good. Let's not lose any time. This way, ladies.
You smile, don't you, Clara? Leaving the hotel and boarding the crowded streetcar. And as you steal a glance at the stranger, you notice that he's studying you, too, very closely, as if memorizing every detail about you. Harriet, meanwhile, is quite excited about the whole adventure as the car rattles along the street.
Clara, just think about going through the streets of Pisa, in the fog, and on a streetcar. It's all so thrilling.
It was nice of you to offer to escort us. It means a lot to see places we've seen in pictures so often.
I want to go to the top of the tower and look down.
They say that's where Galileo proved his theory about weights falling at the same rate of speed, you know.
Oh, yes. I'd like to try dropping something.
You'll have to excuse me, ladies. I'm sorry.
What?
I won't be able to take you to the tower today, after all.
What? Well, you said it wasn't far.
I'm really sorry, but it's unavoidable. Let's get off at the next stop.
Seems we have no choice.
Oh, but in this fog.
You'll be all right. Get off at the third stop on the returning car, and you'll be right at your hotel.
As we'll remember.
I'm sorry, really. It's just that I have an important appointment. It's later than I realized.
This just isn't my day. Thanks anyway, Mr.
Hungate, Raymond Hungate. I'll see you later. Goodbye for now.
As the three of you step from the streetcar, Raymond slips something into your pocket, quickly puts his fingers to his lips to silence you, and suddenly he's gone into the fog. As you look around, you notice two men who left the streetcar just before it pulled away hurry off in the same direction that Raymond took. You feel sure they're following him, don't you, Clara? Harriet seems concerned only with watching for a returning car. She seems relieved as it appears.
My goodness, I'll be glad when we get back to the hotel. Little did I think we'd be left here in the fog.
I'm sure it'll all work out okay. Don't worry, dear.
But he seemed such a nice young man.
Well, we tried, Harriet. Can't win every time.
Well, back at last. This hotel room looks good to me. My, to think he offered to take us there, only to leave us stranded in the middle of a strange city in the fog.
Well, I believe he meant to take us, but something he couldn't help caused him to leave.
Oh, perhaps you're right. Oh. Now that we're back safe and sound, I'll admit it was a thrill. And he was nice looking, wasn't he?
Yes. And it seemed he was going to be an interesting guide.
He was an American, but seemed very much at ease here in this foreign land. I wonder
Harriet, I believe it's best not to discuss this with the others on the tour.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Well, they'd have the laugh on us if they knew the details. Let's admit we didn't get to the tower, but forget the rest.
You're right, my dear. I wonder what the others are doing now.
I'm probably playing bridge. Why don't you go down and see if they have enough for full tables?
I believe I shall. Don't you want to come along?
Not right now, but let's keep this our secret. Between you and me, I believe we'll see Mr. Raymond Hungate again.
Oh, I do hope so. My, isn't this romantic? Wouldn't it be something, Clara, if you met your future husband here in Italy on a foggy day?
You're going overboard, Harriet. It's time you joined your friends.
All right, but I like the idea anyway. You'll join us soon.
In a little while, Harriet, yes.
You feel relieved when the door finally closes, don't you, Clara? And you cross the room quickly. Get Raymond's package from the pocket of your coat. You unwrap it, open the box carefully, and gasp as you view its contents.
A necklace. A beautiful diamond necklace.
You're startled, aren't you, Clara? As you wonder if a fortune in jewels was actually thrust into your hands. If the diamonds of the necklace are real. It seems unlikely that a perfect stranger would entrust you with something so valuable. But as the tour moves on to the city of Rome, you manage to leave Harriet for a short time and seek out a reliable-looking jewelry store.
I want to see if the clasp on a necklace is all right.
I'll be very glad to help you, miss.
Here it is.
Que bella cosa. My, how that's beautiful. And so well designed. Worth many thousands of American dollars, eh?
Well, I suppose.
But it is, miss, I know. A very valuable piece.
The clasp seems all right?
Yes, it seems in perfect order. But it is well to be careful.
Thank you so much. You see, my employer wanted to wear it tomorrow evening, but wanted to be sure that it would be safe.
Oh, yes, I understand. Now, could I show you anything while you're here?
Not now, thank you, but what you tell me about the necklace is most assuring indeed.
If you're like most drivers, this wonderful weather we've been having lately must make you want to head your car for the seashore, the mountains, or just the open highway. Naturally, these trips make you more concerned about gasoline mileage, the thing Signal gasoline is famous for. But mileage, mind you, is just one of the benefits you notice when you switch to Signal. After all, to give you such good mileage, Signal gasoline has to help your engine run more efficiently. So efficiently, you save gasoline 3 ways. 1, you save gasoline with Signal's prompt starting. 2, you save gasoline with Signal's smooth pickup. And 3, you save gasoline with Signal's full power. The kind of performance makes driving more fun. That's why motorists with a zest for driving pleasure, as well as those who appreciate economy, are both enthusiastic about Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline.
Signal, Signal, Signal gasoline. Your car will go far with Go Farther gasoline.
Well, Clara, events have conspired to bring you luck, haven't they? Unexpectedly, a man named Raymond Hungate, escorting you to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, deserted you, but left a valuable diamond necklace in your coat pocket. Now you find yourself thinking about the 2 determined-looking men who were following Mr. Hungate, and you realize that if by chance they caught up with him, the necklace will remain yours. But shortly after leaving the jewelry shop in Rome, you suddenly become aware of someone walking at your side. You look up quickly. Recognize the man you met in Pisa, Raymond Hungate. He speaks quietly as you near a small basement restaurant.
Would you like some refreshments, Miss Marshall?
No, thanks.
Oh, come on. Be sociable. After all, we have something important to discuss.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I think this little basement restaurant should prove an interesting place. Yeah. Nice and quiet. Table for 2, please.
This way.
How about that one in the back corner?
Very good.
Now we'd just like some coffee. Perhaps something else later on.
Oh, very good, sir.
Now tell me, you been enjoying your trip since you were so rudely left in the fog in Pisa?
Yes, but no thanks to you.
Oh, I apologize. It was unforgivable to leave you stranded, but believe me, it was most necessary.
So I gathered. Did your friends catch up with you?
No. No, thanks to the fog, they didn't. And I want you to know I appreciated your cooperation.
Think nothing of it. Your coffee, sir?
Thank you. Were you satisfied that the diamonds were real? I noticed you were having a jeweler look the necklace over.
Just making sure the clasp was in good condition.
You'd have thought rather foolish if the clerk had recognized that necklace as a stolen one.
Is it?
Could be. Why hadn't you guessed? But if you'd known, you would, of course, have taken it to the authorities.
No, I've thought about it. And then I thought about something else, Mr. Hungate. How would you like a partner?
Did you say a partner?
Well, don't be so overwhelmed. You already have one, you know. Otherwise, I would have turned the necklace over to the police.
You're right.
You see, it could be an interesting setup if you're interested in stolen or black market jewelry. You'll sooner or later be suspected. Perhaps your room and luggage searched. Eventually you'll be caught.
That isn't a very pretty picture.
I'm serious. If someone were to take the jewels and keep them for you, someone who wouldn't be suspected, someone, say, who's just on a sightseeing tour. Oh. Wouldn't it make your work easier?
I'm beginning to see your point. However, what about your traveling companion? She seems quite a chatterbox.
Harriet, she'd be an asset. She's already set up a storybook romance for us. I'm sure she'd keep quiet about our seeing one another from time to time. Perhaps given the story that you're on some dangerous secret mission.
Mine might have some advantages. But how do I know I can trust 2 women?
Haven't you already found out? For my part, I can use some extra income. I'm getting somewhat fed up playing nursemaid to Harriet Wilson.
Well, I'll give it some thought.
Meanwhile, do you want me to keep the necklace for you?
Why, yes. You might as well. Partner.
I thought so.
You feel quite proud of yourself, don't you, Clara? You've talked Raymond Hungate into a partnership in his jewel collecting. Of course, you haven't found the source of the jewelry he passed along to you, but you do know that it's very valuable. That's why you keep the gems well hidden. And since it's necessary to keep your meetings with Raymond secret from the other tourists, you encourage Harriet to continue with her romantic ideas.
Clara, my dear, I can't tell you how happy it makes me to know that you found such an exciting and adventurous friend.
He is nice.
Nice. He's wonderful. And to think he's in the Foreign Secret Service for our government.
Not so loud.
Oh, sorry, dear.
Well, it could mean his life, you know, if people found out about that. He shouldn't even have told me.
Oh, now, don't worry, Clara. I'll be careful. You can count on that.
Thank you.
Oh, but imagine meeting such a thrilling man here in a foreign land. He falls in love with you, and eventually, wedding bell.
Oh, please, Harriet. I'll admit Raymond is fascinating, and I'm pleased with his attention, but... Well, he hasn't asked me yet.
Oh, but he will. This young man's in love with you. And you're in love with him, too. I can tell.
I'm afraid you have spring fever, Harry.
Oh, you've been a changed person since you met him. You were always pleasant and nice to me. But now you seem to be, well, up in the clouds, you know.
Maybe I am. A little, but... Anyway, we keep this to ourselves.
Oh, yes, of course. You can count on me.
Things are going smoothly, aren't they, Clara? You've made Harriet believe you and Raymond are deeply in love. And you're sure she will never question any of your meetings with him. You and Harriet accompany the others on the various tours of Rome and the surrounding country. But you also manage to see Raymond frequently. From time to time, he adds other gems to his jewel collection. And he seems pleased with the arrangement you suggested. And then one day, you're a bit delayed in one of your scheduled meetings. You approach the back booth of a little cafe to find Raymond reading a letter.
I didn't see you come in, Clara.
You're slipping, Raymond. I thought you must always be on guard.
Oh, I'm not worried. Even if accused, I have no loot for anyone to find. Not today.
You seem very absorbed in your letter. Is it from the folks back home?
Hardly. Don't be so inquisitive.
Partners have a right to share, remember? Besides, I noticed it's from a Rocco Jewelry Company in Naples. You ought to meet someone.
Fast reader, aren't you?
Oh, I'm a smart kid.
Perhaps. But don't get too smart for your own good, huh?
Could I, darling?
Easily. Here, read the letter if you're so interested.
An appointment at 11 p.m. in Naples, day after tomorrow. 11 p.m.? It's not a bit late.
Not for a friend.
A friend? The kind that exchanges gems for greenbacks?
A lady is a genius.
It adds up. An appointment at 11 at night in Naples, a friend. This man's your fence, isn't he?
You're giving the answers. But I'll give you credit, you're usually right.
We haven't discussed shares. How do I come in?
You'll get what's coming to you, all right.
50-50?
Now, that would be real nice, wouldn't it?
There are some real nice jewels I've been carrying around. Now, how about my share? 50-50?
It's a bit high.
Partners, though. Well?
You drive a hard bargain, honey. But you do know the answers.
Interesting, isn't it, Clara? When you return to the United States, you'll be a rich woman. The jewels Raymond has accumulated are worth a small fortune, and it shouldn't be long until you receive your share. Raymond admits he has an appointment with a man named Rocco in Naples to make the exchange. The jewels for a sum of money beyond your dreams. 2 days later, you're on the train to Naples. An hour or so before you arrive, you knock softly on the door to Raymond Hungate's compartment.
Oh, Clara, come on in. Anyone see you?
Oh, of course not.
Yeah. Bring the stuff in your purse?
Yes. They laughed when I bought this purse that I didn't need any more luggage. But it has come in handy. There they are. Look at them sparkle.
Oh, pretty.
Beautiful. Just think, how much would you say? 50,000 for little Clara?
Well, Rocco will want a commission, but they'll probably bring about 75 grand. Yeah, it's not bad for a few weeks' work.
Not bad at all. And even 37,500 is slightly more than my usual income.
Clara, we might as well understand each other.
What?
You've had some good ideas, and you've been very helpful.
Thank you, darling.
But you can get in the way. You take much too much for granted.
Oh, come now, smile when you say that.
Why? Clara, the game is over. I'm about ready to cash in, and I don't need any excess baggage.
You're joking. Look, you don't
Can't
mean
you figure
that
the picture this time? We're almost into Naples. Your body can be found by the railroad tracks. By the time you're identified, I'll be in Naples, have the dough, and be on a boat to the good old USA.
Don't be ridiculous. You'll be caught in a minute. What about Harriet?
You've taken care of that.
What?
Harriet will only be able to tell them that she understands the job I have is very dangerous. That somehow you must have been killed by the men I was tracking down, or perhaps by accident. After all, she thinks we're so much in love.
Don't be a fool, Raymond. Put that gun away.
Stand near the window, Clara. When the next train whistle sounds,
Put it away!
You grab at Raymond's arm. Try and seize the guns. The two of you struggle. You look at the body of Raymond Hungate, slumped on the seat. Try to realize that you've killed him. You listen, expecting to hear people come clamoring into the compartment. But no one does. You realize that your struggle and the gunshot occurred during the outside noise, and that even as Raymond planned it, no one heard a thing. You look around the room, open the window, and toss the gun out. Then you get Raymond's wallet, tear out the identification, put Rocco's letter into your purse, and of course, most important of all, you take all the gin. And now, certain there's not a trace to suggest your having been with Raymond, you quickly return to your own compartment.
Oh, Clara, back so soon? I was just writing some postcards.
That's nice.
I'm surprised Mr. Hungate would let you leave so soon. You seem quiet, dear. Is something wrong?
I'd rather not talk about it.
Oh, come now. You had a quarrel.
Please, Harriet, let's not discuss it.
But, Clara, I thought he was about to propose.
There's not going to be any wedding. I can assure you I never want to see Raymond Hungate again.
Oh, dear. Oh, well, you'll feel better tomorrow, Clara.
No, I'm through. In fact, Harriet, let's get everything together so that when we get to Naples, we can get off the train right away and take a cab to the hotel and not wait for the rest of the tour.
But, Clara...
No, I mean it, Harriet. Like I said, I'm through with Raymond Hungate. Forever.
Spring or no spring, summer or no summer, you wouldn't feel nearly as peppy, would you, if you had to keep right on wearing heavy winter clothes? Well, that's just how your car feels about running on tired old motor oil. That's why you've been seeing these words, time to change, on that sign outside Signal Station. Time to drain out old, sludgy, worn-out winter oil. Time to change to Signal Premium. Signal Premium, heavy-duty Signal Premium. Now, there's the oil that really protects your car. Disproved and improved heavy-duty Signal oil does more, much more than just lubricate. In addition, Signal Premium Motor Oil cools, cleans, cushions, seals, and protects. Results? Tests under all types of driving conditions prove. New Signal Premium Motor Oil reduces engine wear 50%. Your engine keeps its like new pep and power twice as long. So, since it's time to change, this time give your car a change for the better. Change to new heavy-duty Signal Premium Motor Oil at a Signal station. Time to change. Time to change.
Well, Clara, it's over, isn't it? Complete. As you hurry from the station, pretending that you want to avoid Raymond Hungate, knowing that his body is waiting to be discovered in his compartment. You're certain, too, that you left no trace of your having been there at all. But you do have the jewels safely put away in your purse. And you know where you can exchange them for currency, a great deal of it. And since you're to sail for the United States soon, your future looks very promising, doesn't it? And then there's a knock at the door of your hotel suite.
Yes?
Miss Marshall? Sarah Marshall?
Yes.
I represent the American consulate, Miss Marshall.
Well, surely our passports are in order.
Quite. I'm here on another matter. This is Police Chief Antrini.
Police? But why?
May we come in?
Of course we do. Please, sit down.
Who's it, Sarah?
The gentleman from the consulate and the chief of police, Harriet. This is my employer, Miss Wilson's evidence.
Oh, how do you do? Oh, this visit is quite flattering. You see, we're planning to leave for the States in a few days. Oh, we've had such a wonderful tour of the continent. Nice but you two gentlemen to drop in this way.
I am afraid that my business may prevent your departure, Miss Ruth.
Oh?
You see, there has been a murder.
A murder? But who?
A man named Raymond Hungate.
Raymond Hungate? Oh, how terrible. Why, we saw him only today.
Well, surely there's some mistake.
The police still have some checking to do, Miss Marshall. But Chief Anfrini would like you to come down to his office.
Oh, but this is hard to believe. It's such a shock. We knew Raymond's job with the Secret Service was very dangerous.
Harriet, there may be some mistake.
I do hope so. Anyway, I'll go along to identify him. If it is Raymond. Oh, Sarah, my poor dear.
I am sure you misunderstand, Miss Wilson. Chief Anfrini is arresting Miss Marshall on suspicion of murder.
What?
That is true.
Why, that's preposterous. You've no reason whatever to suspect me.
I think we have. We found Hungate's body in a compartment of a train that just arrived in Naples. He'd been shot, and the murder weapon is missing, as well as his own identification papers. But a card of Miss Harriet Wilson's here gave us the answer.
What?
You mean the card I kept under the door of Raymond's compartment just before we left the train?
Harriet, you didn't.
I'm afraid she did, Mr. Marshall.
They were such a romantic couple. I couldn't let them break up.
Mr. Marshall, read the message on the card.
Raymond Hungate, I'm sure you and Clara have just had a lover's quarrel and that all will work out all right. You'll be staying at the Imperial Hotel in Naples, signed Harriet Wilson.
Well, Miss Marshall?
All right, I did know him, but that doesn't say I killed him.
No. But we know that Raymond Hungate had an appointment with a man named Rocco this evening to dispose of some stolen jewels. Hungate thought Rocco was a friend. Actually, Rocco was working with the police.
Very interesting. But what does all this have to do with me?
Nothing. Unless you have the jewels. If you do, that's all we need for a conviction. Miss Marshall, let me see your purse.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Meantime, Signal Oil Company and the friendly independent dealers who help you go farther with Signal gasoline hope you'll remember. Regardless of what gasoline you use, you'll enjoy more miles of happy driving if you drive at sensible speeds, obey traffic regulations, and avoid taking chances. You may even save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Betty Lou Gerson, Gerald Moore, Norma Varden, Jane Novello, and Byron Kane. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Winifred Henson, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler was entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Remember to tune in at this same time next Sunday, when the Signal Oil Company will bring you another strange story by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil Company. Stay tuned now for Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London.
Black Museum. Here in the grim stone structure on the Thames, which houses Scotland Yard, is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a magazine, a cigarette lighter, a student's lamp, a paperweight, all are touched by murder. Here's a letter. It's a familiar object, handwritten on a good bond paper. No imprint on the top, merely a date. A simple single initial for the signature.
Do you notice the same thing about this letter that I do, sir? Rather a well-formed handwriting? More than that. This letter was written by an educated person. A very well-educated person. But for what a purpose?
Well, today, that letter can be seen in the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum.
And here we are, the Black Museum. Scotland Yard's Museum of Murder. Yes, interred in this place are countless memories, represented by the objects on these shelves in these cabinets. Memories of terror, horror in the night, of the ultimate cruelty between man and man, the killing of one human being by another. Yes, here lies death. In serried, endless ranks, pitiful instruments, not only guns and knives and poisons and the cords of the garroters, but the simple things, spoons and cups and even, yes, here, for instance, is a baby's pacifier, complete with the ivory ring. Horrible. It was dropped in a bedroom. It led to a woman who was a nurse. Dropped in a bedroom. It took that woman up the 13 steps to a hangman's noose. Here's the letter. The letter I told you about. The letter of today's story. This one begins innocently enough in a bank. As a man steps to a teller's window.
The cashier's for me, please. Do we notice, sir? I have an account here. You can check the signature. Yes, sir. That'll take just a moment.
So normal, so much in the ordinary course of daily business. The cashier goes to the files, compares the signature on the check with that on file, returns to his wicket.
Everything seems to be in order, sir. How do you wish the money? 2 5s, the rest in £1 notes. Very well. There you are, sir. It's your account.
The customer counts the bills, nods that they come to the proper amount, and walks away out of the bank. A week or so later, in the office of the manager of that bank.
Of course, we understand how you feel, Mr. Holt. The cashier in question will be here in just a moment.
One would expect a bank to protect a depositor with more care. 3 forged checks, each one successively larger.
Apparently, the forger felt himself safer each time.
Apparently. If I hadn't requested my statement and the voucher ahead of time this month, this might have gone on almost indefinitely.
Mr. Holt drums his fingers angrily on the manager's desk. Both men sit silently, awaiting the arrival of the cashier.
You sent for me, sir? Yes, Hollingsworth. Your initials are on these 3 vouchers. Do you remember the man who cashed these? Yes, sir. Quiet sort. Very dark. Seemed on the tallish side. Nothing at all like the gentleman sitting here. Oh, not at all. Ah, I see. Oh, this gentleman is Mr. Holt. But I compare the signatures, sir. Our usual routine. Is this a case for the police? Sir?
It certainly is. And I intend to see to it that the police find the perpetrator of this forgery.
Forgery. And apparently quite a clever job of it. After all, the cashier did compare the signatures, and the cashier was honest, no question about that. What then did Scotland Yard have to say about it?
May I ask, Mr. Holt, if you've written any letters recently to anyone you don't know?
I'm a solicitor, Inspector. I have a great deal of correspondence.
Of course. Let me ask you something else. Have you made any debt collections within, say, the past 6 weeks?
Well, now, let me think. Yes, there was that Mr. Arthur. He'd had a bit of a difficulty with Mr. Harris. Asked me to write a letter. A lawyer's letter, you understand, Inspector.
Yes, of course. Go on, sir.
I wrote the letter. Mr. Harris paid his debt at once. About £50 it was. I deducted the usual fee and remitted the balance to Mr. Arthur, that was all.
But you signed the letter yourself, of course. It's not a new trick, but it's been used quite often lately.
I've read it and follow, Inspector.
That's how the forger obtained your signature to trace our copy.
What? But that's...
Quite simple. Yes. And the chances are that neither you, Mr. Arthur, whom you saw, nor Mr. Harris, whom you did not see, neither one of them was the forger, as we've come to call him.
Then you had similar cases?
Many of them.
And no trace of the culprit?
Never a trace, nor any link. He knows what he's doing, this fellow.
Clever, in a diabolical sort of way.
Clever in a diabolical sort of way. Well, you can fight this sort of cleverness with only two weapons, patience and vigilance. Sergeant Berkey of the Yard was both patient and vigilant. Stationed in a bank as one of the searchers for the forger. The sergeant heard...
Will you cash this, please? The name is Forsyth.
Beg pardon. Aren't you James Olsey?
My name is Forsyth.
Sorry, I saw you identified in the Mason case. Your name is Olsey. I'll have to ask you to come with me.
The sergeant took Mr. Halsey to the Yard. There, Inspector Dodson proceeded to the questioning.
That check was a forgery, didn't you, Halsey?
No, sir, I didn't.
I see. You were just doing a busy man a favor, running to the bank to catch a check for him.
That's it. Exactly right, Inspector. He promised me £500. He did for me trouble.
I can hardly believe that. You, with your record, trusted like that?
Some folks trust me.
No doubt. Any questions, Sergeant?
Yes, sir. Look here, Olsey. Where were you supposed to deliver the money?
Carter and Company Limited, Queensbury Building, to Mr. Forsyth. Same name as was on that check. That's all I know. Except I'm out £500 and in trouble besides.
No use, Sergeant. There'll be no Forsyth at Carter and Company. Let this fellow go. He's telling the truth for once. The man we want is the forger.
Another blank. No link to the man whose mind was planning all this cleverness. Of course, they did learn one more fact about his operation.
Just before we close the file, I think we might check up and see if we can learn anything from the real Mr. Forsyth.
Yes?
Oh, I'm a police officer. My credentials, ma'am.
Oh, I expect you want to be my husband.
Well, if you please, ma'am, we're making a few inquiries.
Yes, come in.
Thank you.
We've had nothing but visits from the police ever since this forgery business. As if it wasn't bad enough already with the burglary last month and all that.
What was that? A burglary, did you say, ma'am?
That's right. There's a policeman to see you there.
Oh, good evening. What can I do to help you? Oh, I think your wife has already supplied the answer to the question I was going to ask you, Mr. Forsyth. I understand you had a burglary last month.
That's right, but there was nothing much stolen, just a few trinkets, nothing valuable.
Oh, anything else?
Why, yes. Don't you remember, dear? They took your checkbook.
Oh, yes. Rather silly things, you... No, sir. Not so silly as you'd think. Here are the particulars, sir. Thank you. Have you compared them with the information we have already on the forgery case? Yes, sir. The check that Halsey tried to cash came from the stolen book.
Who was this forger? This mind which covered all trails to itself? Somewhere, somehow, the correct thread which would lead to the center of his web must be picked up somewhere.
I believe some money has been placed on my credit here from my bank in London. The name is Harrison, Charles Harrison.
I'll see Mr. Harrison. Just a moment, please.
You know how this is done, of course. You deposit money in one bank in, say, London. Notice the draft is sent at the depositor's request to a branch of the same bank in another city. You arrive in that city, identify yourself, and receive your money. Usually it's a fair amount, too large to travel with.
How much is this draft of yours, sir?
£250.
The amount's correct. It was deposited in our London office by Mr. Harris Thompson.
That's right.
With instructions to pay to him in person.
I'm here. You wish identification? I have it.
But you're Mr. Harrison. Charles Harrison. You said so a moment ago.
I'm Harris Thompson. I see. Perhaps the London branch made a mistake. I'll get in touch with them and come back tomorrow. Sorry to have bothered you.
I caught your signal, Bart. There's something wrong. That fellow there, sir. Just going out the door. Gave me two different names while he was trying to collect on this draft.
Some kind of swindle?
I can't say, sir. The order came down from London in perfectly good order. There are £250 up there. It's a bit strange. And he behaved oddly. Gave his name as Harrison.
It's quite simple. Quite simple, really.
Money had been deposited in London. The man who was to draw it in Yarmouth would thereby acquire the appearance and reputation of wealth and honesty. When he returned with a new forged draft, it would be honored. A neat scheme. But the fellow mixed up the names. The Yarmouth bank reported to the Yard. Inspector Dodson came calling.
We'll get out a pickup order. It might be well worth our while to talk with this Harrison Thompson, whatever his name is.
Yes?
Does Mr. Harris Thompson live here?
What name?
Harris Thompson.
No, doesn't live here.
Oh, that's a pity. I had something for him.
Oh, what was that?
Something important.
Could you leave it?
Well, no, I've got to give it to him in person. Confidential, you see.
Oh. Well, wait a minute.
Yes? What do you want? Are you Mr. Harris Thompson? Who are you? Never mind who I am, Mr. Harris Thompson. I have a warrant for your arrest. My name isn't Harris Thompson. That's something we know already, Mr. Rafe. All right, Rafe. You took yourself. You know that now. My name is Harris Thompson. Stop it, Rafe. Your fingerprints are in file in criminal records. We know your name. My name is Harris Thompson. It'll go a lot easier with you if you admit the truth. My name is Harris Thompson. And that's all you'll say? My name is... All right. We've heard it before. Lock him up, Sergeant. The charge will be attempted fraud and loss. Come along, Rafe.
With Rafe Harrison Thompson safely away in the Yarmouth jail, Inspector Dodson, in company with several Yarmouth policemen and the manager of the bank, visited the man's lodging.
I must say, Inspector, when you search a place, you are quite thorough.
Just a routine, sir. Does this make any sense to you?
Dear friend, there is no doubt your error at the bank, while understandable, was quite grave. However, I expect to rectify it shortly. The bank has requested that Mr. Thompson come there personally to sign a new bit of paper, giving Mr. Harrison permission to withdraw the money in Yarmouth. I will explain later exactly what I want you to do. In the meanwhile, do not come up to London. Caution has always been and always will be my watchword. Trust me, sincerely yours, J. While this fellow is describing our regular procedure where identification is in doubt.
I see. Do you notice the same thing about this letter that I do, sir?
Rather a well-formed handwriting.
More than that. This letter was written by an educated person. A very well-educated person. But for what a purpose?
Yes, the phrasing is simple, but the words he uses, it's a little difficult to understand, isn't it? Why someone with education would involve himself in something like this?
Well, when we find Jay, we may have an answer to that. In the meantime, I think we may have our first direct link to the forger.
Well, today, as I told you, that self-same letter can be seen in its place in the Black Museum. The words in the letter, signed simply J, told nothing new. The manner and style of its writing told many things. This J, possibly the long-sought forger, was a man of education and intelligence. A shadow figure using many other men to further his own designs. Seemed a kind of devil. But within a very few days, they learned he was at least a man.
So my cousin Rafe is in trouble again.
Yes, Mrs. Webster. And we would like to know the occasion of his visiting you.
I haven't seen him in 10 years. My own aunt's son, and not in 10 years.
Most of which he spent commuting back and forth in and out of prison. Why do you suppose he turned up now?
He wanted something. First I thought he turned a new leaf, but he wanted something. A convenience. Taken a room in Yarmouth. Would I, he says, receive his mail for him?
And you did?
Yes, Inspector, I did.
May I see whatever you have left of it?
I haven't anything. Rafe's friend came and asked for all his mail.
His friend?
Yes, sir. And how a man like that came to be friends with Rafe, I'll never understand. Well-dressed, nice-looking, and with a real refined manner.
Could you describe this man, Mrs. Webster?
I had a good look at him. Even talked to him. Fair as she was. Brown hair, nice blue eyes. About, well, my husband's size, and he's 5'8". Weighs about 170 pounds. A nice mouth. And I'll wager his hands never held a pick or shovel.
The second link, a description. Apparently a man of some means. Not particularly individualized, of course, but still, here was someone who could identify this Jay when he'd been found. As for Rafe, his fate was settled quickly.
Rafe Martin, you have been convicted of fraud, attempted fraud, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Have you anything to say before sentence is pronounced?
What for, your lordship? Your mind's made up. Nothing I will say can change it.
Very well. As you seem to be the dupe of someone with a great deal more intelligence than yourself, I've been tempted to lighten your punishment. However, your intransigent attitude toward the law enforcement officers in this case, your attitude in court, and your past record removed all such temptations. You are about to be committed to prison for the maximum time the law allows. 20 years hard labor. That is all.
An underling, a dupe, went to prison. Shortly after his arrival there in Dartmoor, Rafe had a visitor in his cell.
Surprised, Rafe? Only if you were to be my cellmate. Hardly that. But I may have the key which will unlock that door before you expect. I make no deals with coppers. 20 years is a long time. You'll be an old man when you get out. What of it? In fact, 20 years may be a life sentence for you. Nothing I can do about it? Isn't there? I think you know exactly what you can do about it. I don't talk. Your friend Jay didn't help you much in court, did he? Why should he? I don't think you owe him anything. Chances are he had the lion's share of all your little dealings, and now he's free to go right on while you're in here. Think about it, Rafe. If you change your mind, the water...
Rafe thought about it. Honor among thieves. Up to a point, perhaps. But the cold, bleak winter at Dartmoor was beyond that point. At least for Rafe.
All right, Inspector. But what's in it for me? I think your sentence will be considerably reduced. You were convicted in 3 counts, Rafe. The time for each might be made to run concurrently instead of consecutively, without too much difficulty. Is it a deal? Well, I can't promise. You know how such things are, Rafe. All right, I'll chance it. You never get him otherwise. He's too smart. He's a lawyer. What? That's right. Knows all the ins and outs, he does. Laughs all the time when another fellow's being fooled. He's laughing at me right now. You've seen him, then? I've seen him. What's his name? Or don't you know? Oh, I know all right. But he doesn't know I found it out. Followed him home one night. Had his name on his doorbell. I can be bright at times myself.
Yes?
Mrs. Seaforth? Mrs. Joseph Seaforth?
I'm Mrs. Seaforth.
Is your husband at home?
I'm sorry, no. Would you care to leave your name?
We're from Scotland Yard, madam. We have a warrant for your husband's arrest.
Arrest? Joe, what can you have done?
That's a long story, Ma'am. It's taken us quite some time to track him this far. When do you expect him back?
That's it, sir. I don't know. He went out of town on business a week ago. I haven't heard from him since. He's never done anything like this before, never.
Gone. Joseph Seaforth, the forger, disappeared. But there are certain rules of thumb the police follow in situations like this. They know what happens when the wanted notices appear in the post offices all over the country.
Now, remember, I want every lead that comes in followed through. We're dealing with a very tricky customer, and every piece of information, however small, may be helpful.
Yes, I knew him all right. He used to come into the bar for a drink often enough. He was a real gentleman. Distinguished looking.
Oh, have you seen him recently?
No. Haven't seen him for months.
That's his face, all right. Recognize it anywhere. Took a room at our house for a couple of months. Not that we saw much of him.
Oh, when did he leave?
About 6 months ago.
And you haven't seen him since?
No.
I know so far, William, I'm confident that somewhere, sometime, somebody who's seen that wanted notice is going to meet up with Seaforth again.
Hello there, Mr. Seaforth.
But my name's not Seaforth.
It's Saunders.
It's Seaforth, all right, and mine's Halsey, Jack Halsey. One of the fellas you pretty near got into trouble, like you got Rafe Martin into trouble.
I'll appreciate it if
Don't waste your breath. Your picture's up, see? And a right good likeness it is, too.
Oh. All right. I am Joseph Seaforth. And now that you know, how do you like to make some money with me?
Money? How?
I have a check. It's a good one. Will you cash it for me?
What kind of knock do you think I am? Once burnt, twice shy. That's me every time.
We've reason to believe, Halsey, that you've seen Seaforth.
What if I have, Inspector?
We want to know where.
Why should I tell you?
I would if I were you. We have enough in you to make you rather uncomfortable for a fair amount of time.
All right, I saw him in a pub in Whitechapel. He hangs about down there a lot, I hear.
Pass the word, Sergeant. We know Seaforth's in Whitechapel somewhere. Circulate his description to all stations. And, Sergeant.
Yes, sir?
Put the pigeons onto it, Sergeant. They'll know a lot more about him a lot faster than we will.
Seaforth seems to frequent two places more than others, Inspector. The Dancing Bear and the Monument.
Well, he's getting a trifle careless, isn't he? With all his cleverness, he ought to have known better than that.
The search had narrowed now. 2 pubs in Whitechapel. The inspector and Sergeant Berkey dropped in at the Dancing Bear for a quiet pint.
Do this again, will you, landlord?
Very well, sir. We seem to be drawing a blank here, Inspector.
So far, yes. We'll wait a bit.
There you are.
There you are.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, we happen to be waiting for a fella, perhaps you know him. Name is Seaforth.
Never heard of him. We don't ask names in here. One man's money is as good as another, as long as you don't cause trouble. That's the only way to stay in business.
The inspector and the sergeant finished their ale. They lingered briefly, then...
All right, Sergeant. We'll go now.
They left. Outside the door, the inspector turned back.
Watch the landlord, Sergeant, through the window.
I see him, sir. He's heading for the back room.
Come along, Sergeant, before our man gets out of the back door.
The front door, sir. On the right-hand side.
Good enough. Meg, I'll be on my way.
How are you, Mr. Seaforth?
You're barking up the wrong tree, copper. This man's name is Saunders. Stay out of this, landlord, if you want to stay in business.
My name is Saunders, and if you are the police, it's hardly necessary for you to molest decent citizens.
It's no good, Seaforth. I think you know that. We have a warrant, and your fingerprints from your own apartment. All right, Seaforth. It's finished now. Perhaps one day you'll tell us why you did it.
The law can be very dull. When you know it and turn it on itself, there's excitement of a sort. Perhaps one day you'll tell me how you picked up the proper thread. It doesn't matter very much at the moment.
And the silent witness to that whole story is today in the Black Museum.
Orson Welles will be back with you in just a moment.
The trial of Joseph Seaforth was swift. One somewhat strange incident did occur, strange in the light of the man's background, previous experience. Throughout the trial, he made no effort to defend himself. He seemed quite ready to accept whatever punishment was determined for him. And then, as the judge was about to pronounce sentence, Seaforth requested the record of his case. He wished, he said, to enter objections to what he felt was inadmissible evidence. The judge denied the request on the grounds that the objection should have been made before the verdict was announced. So Joseph Seaforth went to prison for 20 years. And it was never determined why the lawyer in him awoke, only when it was too late. And now until next time, till we meet in the same place and I tell you another story about the Black Museum, I remain as always obediently yours.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler. Written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Cogan. And featuring tonight 2 of radio's most distinguished personalities, Santos Ortega and Richard Coogan, in No Grave Can Hold Me.
This is the mysterious traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little as we travel tonight into the world of shadows, from which no man may return, and we learn the story of one who does return. It's a story I call No Grave Can Hold Me. My story starts in a court of law where a man is on trial for his life. The courtroom is tense, for the jury is out deciding a prisoner's fate. But the prisoner himself, a tall man with glossy black hair and piercing eyes, sits calmly with his lawyer, his daughter Nora, and his son-in-law Harry Wilson, waiting for the fateful verdict.
Oh, dear, this room. Father, I think the jury is coming in now. They say it's a bad sign when the jury is out for such a short while.
You need not worry, either of you. I shall be free.
I certainly hope so, Randolph, but... Well, you know, you did admit you killed Clemens.
Because he insulted me. He called me a mountebank, a charlatan, a trickster. He called the great Randolph a faker. So he died.
There they come. Oh, Father, I'm frightened.
They're taking your places in the jury box now. You look awfully grim.
I repeat, have no fear for me.
Foreman of the jury, has the jury reached a verdict?
It has, Your Honor.
What is the verdict?
We find the defendant guilty as charged of murder in the first degree.
Oh, no.
It finds you guilty.
Fools. They, too, think that I'm an impostor, a trickster. They shall learn different. If I die, so shall they.
The prisoner will rise.
Father, you stand up.
The prisoner will rise.
Very well. I'll stand up, so that they will recognize my face again when they see it suddenly in the night, and know that death has come to claim them.
Maximilian Randolph, you have been found guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree. It is the sentence of this court that you shall suffer the punishment of death on the night of June 6th at midnight. And may God have mercy on your soul.
Visitor for you, Mr. Randolph.
Thank you, Guard Miller.
You can see him for only 5 minutes, Mr. Wilson. Yes, all right, Guard. Hello, Randolph.
Good evening, Harry. I see that my guard Miller managed to get you in to see me.
Yes, he did. Time is so short that... Well,
I know. It is almost midnight. And at midnight, I die. But Guard Miller has become a good friend. I knew he'd arrange it.
Nora and I saw the governor this afternoon. He refused to do a thing.
It does not matter. What is death but a new garment for the soul to wear?
Nora's waiting outside. You said you didn't want to see her tonight.
That is as I wished. You were my assistant. We were very close, you and I. And now there is a last promise you must make to me.
Anything, Randolph.
When you receive my body, the empty husk of the great Randolph, bury it in a vault with a bronze door which faces east.
A vault facing east? Yes, of course.
The door must be locked with a padlock of bronze. But it must be possible to open it from the inside without using a key.
Randolph, you...
The coffin must be locked shut as well. But I must be able to open it from the inside
Randolph, sure you're not serious.
I never joke. All this and one thing more. Promise.
All right, I promise.
When I am buried, beneath my head must rest a notebook bearing the names and addresses of the 12 jurymen who found me guilty, of the prosecuting attorney, and of the judge.
But why, Randolph?
So that I may know where to seek my vengeance upon them. The vengeance I have sworn, which must be executed before my soul can sleep.
Oh, Randolph, that's madness.
You disbelieve. So do they. But in my studies, I have learned many things. And one of them is how to reach back from behind the dark curtain of death.
All right, time is up, sir.
Thank you, Miller. Goodbye, Harry. Just tell me one more thing. Is the full moon shining tonight?
Yes. It's a full moon tonight.
Good. And each time hereafter that it shines, one of my enemies will join me in death. And so the great Randolph went to his execution and was buried according to his instructions. After a few days, his case was forgotten. Forgotten by all but Harry Wilson, his son-in-law. Well, as the first month passed and the full moon again shone in the windows of his apartment, a strange restlessness possessed Harry.
Harry, what's wrong with you?
No, I'm sorry, Nora, but tonight's the night of the full moon. I'm nervous. I can't help it.
Oh, darling, you're not worrying about Father, are you? About his stress?
Yes, I am.
Oh, but that's absurd. Poor Father. Toward the end, I'm afraid he was suffering from delusions, and he was more than just an ordinary man. He wasn't entirely sane.
No, maybe not, but he was so sure of himself, so certain. And those instructions for the way he was to be buried. Oh, of course, I'm just being foolish.
Why don't you go out and walk for a while, Harry? It'll help calm you.
All right, I will. You want to come along tonight?
No, I think I'll stay here and read.
All right, I'll be back in an hour or so, dear. And if nothing happens tonight, I'll know that Randolph is just putting on an act.
But a little later, another man was also walking in the moonlight of a beautiful July evening. This one was short and stout. He was strolling homeward from a small poker party with his friends when in the dark shadows cast by the trees along the edge of the park, a tall figure stepped directly into his path. Just a moment, Adam.
Who are you? What do you want?
Just to talk to you.
I don't want to talk to you. Get out of my way.
So fast, my friend. Look.
A gun. Say, what is this, a hold-up?
No, Adam. It is not the hold-up.
Then why are you threatening me with that gun? Why have you got that scar covering your face?
Because my face has changed in the months since I was executed and buried. It's rather frightening now.
What are you saying? Who are you, anyway?
You're beginning to recognize my voice, aren't you? You know who I am. You just don't want to admit it to yourself.
The great Randolph.
Whom you, as foreman of the jury, caused to be executed.
No, it's not possible. No one could come back from the dead.
No ordinary man. But the great Randolph has come back.
No, I don't believe it. There's a trick of some kind.
And is this a trick, Adam? Is it? Is it?
Hello?
Hello, Nora. Is Harry there?
No, he's out for a walk. Who is this?
Don't you recognize my voice, Nora? Surely you heard it often enough.
Father. Oh, no, it can't be.
Strange how skeptical
critical everyone is of me. Even my own daughter.
Father, it is you. What do you want?
I just want to tell Harry that I have claimed the first victim of my vengeance. Exactly on the stroke of midnight. The same minute when I died.
Oh, no, no.
And I wanted to warn him that he must do nothing to interfere with my plans. For if he does, I shall have to add him to my list of victims.
No, Nora, he telephoned here. You wanted to speak to me?
Yes, Harry, just a little after 12. He said that he...
Yes, I know. I heard the news. I was in the restaurant having coffee and it came over the radio. Adams, the foreman of the jury, was found strangled in front of his home.
Oh, but it's impossible. And yet it was his voice, Harry. Father's voice.
Oh, we've got to do something. Nora, I've got to warn the others on that list. The other jurors, Baldwin, the district attorney, and Judge Dexter.
Yes, but he said if you tried to interfere...
I know, but that doesn't matter. In the morning, I'm going to District Attorney Baldwin. He'll believe me. He'll have to. Oh, but Mr. Baldwin, you've got to listen to me. You've got to warn the others. You've got to give them protection. Or they'll die, just as Adams did.
Wilson, I'm a busy man. I have enough on my mind without having to listen to wild-eyed stories like the one you just told me.
But it's true. Randolph's instructions about the way he wanted to be buried, the notebook that I put in the coffin with him.
Mere theatrical mummery. Adams was the victim of an ordinary street mugging. That's all there is to it. I have to ask you to leave. I have more important things to tend to.
Mr. Lord, you're a sensible man. You edit the biggest newspaper in this city. If you'll only print what I've told you, the authorities will have to take some action.
Wilson, my job is to print news for our readers, not ghost stories. If I ran your story, I'd be fired tomorrow.
Then you don't believe me.
Tell you what I will do. I'll make a story for the Sunday Supplement out.
Oh, that won't do any good. If it's in the Sunday Supplement, people must just smile at us. When they see it there, they'll know it's just a story.
And I'm afraid there's no use in talking any further, Wilson.
All right, I'll go to other papers. One of them will have to believe me.
I don't advise it. You run a shop, don't you, selling tricks and magic apparatus?
Yes, that's right. Why?
Just this. Newspapers don't believe in giving free publicity, and that's obviously what you're after. Goodbye, Mr. Wilson.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Wilson, but Judge Dexter is unable to see you.
Oh, but, mister, you explain to him what it's about, how important it is.
The judge said if you cared to write him a letter, he'd give the matter his consideration.
Oh, that's no good. I got to talk to him.
I'm sorry. He's leaving today for his vacation, and he won't be back for a month. Perhaps he'll be able to see you then, but he simply can't see you now.
None of them would listen to me, Nora. They either thought I was crazy or they wanted publicity. They all told me to forget it.
They're right, Harry. That's the only thing to do to forget it.
But, Nora...
Maybe we're wrong. Maybe Adam's death last night was just a coincidence. I'm sure Father had nothing to do with it.
Oh, no. He telephoned you. You heard his voice?
Well, I'm not sure now that I did. Maybe it was a dream, Harry. Maybe I just imagined it. Don't forget the whole thing. Please, Harry, for my sake, forget it. Oh, Harry, darling, it's no good just pacing up and down. Please sit down and try to relax.
I can't, Nora. I can't. Tonight's the second full moon since Randolph was executed. He'll be leaving his grave tonight, and someone else will die.
But, Harry...
There ought to be a guard over the vault he's buried in. Oh, no, that wouldn't do any good if he came back to the dead. He wouldn't be bothered by a guard.
Please, Harry, you've done the best you can. And if it is true and you go on like this, well, you'll be in danger, too.
I don't care. That list, Nora, the names on it were alphabetical. And Adams, the foreman, was the first to die.
What are you driving at?
The second name on the list is Baldwin, the district attorney. Baldwin. Wouldn't listen to me last time, but tonight he's got to. I'm going to his home now while there's still time. Mr. Baldwin, you are in danger tonight. I'm sure of it. Deadly danger.
No, you mean it, I'm sure, Wilson. Yes. I thought it was some kind of a gag before. Now I can see you fully believe everything you said.
Oh, then you will take precautions, at least for tonight?
I've been an officer of the law for 30 years. I've been threatened by a lot of convicted murderers, but not one of them has come back to get me yet.
But you don't understand. The great Randolph is different. He had powers that we know nothing about.
Perhaps, but I doubt it. Now, Wilson, I appreciate your warning, but I can't take it seriously.
Oh, then you won't guard yourself?
No more than usual. I'll lock the door presently. I'm sure that'll keep out any ghosts who may come this way.
Mr. Baldwin, please, it's almost midnight. At least let me stay with you for another hour.
I'm sorry, but I'm about ready to turn in. I expect to sleep well, too. Now, you go on home, do the same. Because nobody's going to be harmed tonight by the great Randolph spook. I guarantee it.
Oh, no, please, I wish you'd let me
I couldn't
stay.
think of it. Now, you can find your way out yourself, can't you? I'm sure.
Yes, of course. All right, Mr. Baldwin, I won't bother you any longer. Good night.
Good night, Wilson. Well, he's gone. Afraid the poor fellow needs to see a psychiatrist. Randolph's ghost. I only hope I never have anything worse to be afraid of than that. Who's there? Who came in just now? Wilson, is that you again?
No, my friend. It is not Wilson.
Who are you? What the devil's the meaning of this?
You don't recognize me, then?
How can I in that cloak with the collar pulled up over your face?
That is to spare the world a sight that should remain forever hidden within the darkness of a coffin. But my voice? Surely you recognize that.
What are you talking about? Now, get out at once or I'll call for the police.
It would tax their powers to arrest me. They have no authority in the world to which I belong.
No, it can't be.
I see you have recognized me. You should have taken Wilson's warning, Baldwin, because I'm here, the great Randolph, at your service.
Oh, it's impossible.
That's been said of so many things, hasn't it? But I think I can convince you.
No, stay away. Help!
That won't do you any good. By the time anyone comes, you will have joined me in the world of death.
Nora! Where are you? Nora!
Harry, I can hear you calling all the way down the hall.
Nora, where have you been?
I just went out to get the morning papers. Why?
Why? It's happened again. District Attorney Baldwin has been killed.
But how?
Exactly the same way Mr. Adams was killed, strangled, just at midnight.
Oh, no.
And Nora, I think I know the truth now.
What do you mean?
I don't believe it was your father at all. I think it was I that killed them. I killed them both. Oh, no, you've got to do it. There's a full moon tonight. You've got to lock me in this apartment.
Oh, but Harry, you couldn't possibly have killed those two men.
I could. I was near the scene at both times, and my mind, it wasn't clear. I don't remember doing it, but don't you see, if I'd been hypnotized, I wouldn't remember.
But, darling, Father couldn't have hypnotized you into committing murder. It's a law of hypnosis. The subject won't do anything he knows is wrong.
I know that, but I can't be sure. I believe that in those few minutes I was with him, somehow Randolph impressed on my mind orders to carry out his vengeance for him.
Oh, darling, I'm sure he didn't. But if you insist, I'll lock you in.
All right. Well, I want you to go now. It might not be safe for you to stay with me.
All right, Harry. I'll go to a movie.
Got to stay locked in until after midnight. Then even if I am hypnotized, I won't be able to do any harm. You do understand, Nora, don't you?
Oh, of course, darling. I'm sure you're wrong, but I'll do anything you say.
All right, now. Lock me in. And don't you come back until after midnight. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Another hour and then I'll know. Will I? Maybe I'll try to get out and I won't remember it. But... Telephone. Yes. Hello. Randolph.
Yes, my boy. I'm glad at least you don't say, no, it's impossible.
No. Where are you, Randolph?
That doesn't matter. I just wanted to warn you. And don't try to interfere with my plans.
But, Randolph, I thought... Hello. Hello. He hung up. That proves that I'm not the one. Then in that case... Yes. That's the only possible answer. I know now what the truth is. Oh, we've got to get out of here. The door... I could break it down with an axe. There's no fire escape, and it's 8 floors down to the street. I have it, the superintendent. I can telephone the superintendent, tell him I'm locked in, and then he'll come and let me out. Judge Dexter. First, Adams died, then Baldwin. Their names were the first 2 on the great Randolph's list. Your name is third.
And so you think that tonight I'm scheduled to die, huh?
Yes, I'm sure of it.
And you say you warned Baldwin last month just before he was murdered?
I did. And he laughed at me. But he died just the same.
And you're seriously asking me to believe that a dead man legally executed by the state is walking the streets tonight seeking my life?
I tell you, he telephoned me only half an hour ago. I recognized his voice.
You know, of course, that your story sounds like the ravings of an insane mind.
I know it. That's why I kept quiet this last month. I did try to convince the police, the district attorney, and all I got was laughed at. And then...
Yes. And yet, obviously, you're in earnest. I don't think you're crazy.
I'm not. For a little while, I thought that I was the killer.
You? How?
I thought that I was under post-hypnotic control, that Randolph had planted in my mind the impulse to kill his enemies. But that phone call proved that I was wrong.
And what do you propose that we do?
If we went to his tomb, perhaps then we'd learn the truth.
Wilson, what do you want to open Randolph's tomb for?
Don't you see? If we go there and we find Randolph is still in his coffin, then I'll know that the real murderer is my wife, Nora. I have the key right here. I'll have the padlock off in a minute.
Well, then hurry. The moon is bright. I'd hate to have anyone see us.
Yes, all right.
A very strange story, a man in my position prowling around the cemetery at midnight.
Oh, but we had to come, Judge. We had to make sure. There. Unlocked it. We can open the vault door now.
I'm rather sorry I paid any attention to you, Wilson. But we're here now, so let's get this thing over with. Now, I'm going in first. But don't forget, I'm armed.
Oh, don't worry about me. There, I've shut the door. Be safe to turn on the flashlight now. There. See? There's the coffin.
That's odd.
Huh? What is it, Judge?
The air in here is fresh. This vault has been opened, and very recently.
Then it must have been opened by Randolph.
Oh, nonsense. Open this coffin and I'll prove it. Here. How does it work?
This catch on the side. Can be operated either from the inside or out. There we are. It's unlocked.
Well, then lift the lid, man. Lift it. What? All right, I'll do it. There. There you are. Now, see? There's your precious Randolph, safe and sound, just as I expected. Quite dead. As he's supposed to be.
Still in his coffin?
Yes, and that proves that it... Wilson, shine your flashlight down on the floor. I just touched a body lying here near the wall.
Body? Oh, it's Nora. She's dead.
I don't think so. Here, give me that light. What happened? Why did you turn out the flashlight?
Something knocked it out of my hands. I can't find it.
Because I have it, Harry. That's why you can't find it.
Randolph!
Wilson, what are you saying?
It's Randolph. He's not dead.
Oh, but I am, Harry. But don't let that disturb you. I want to thank you for bringing the judge here to me.
Wilson, where are you? You're trying to play a trick on me?
No, I swear.
He's quite innocent, Judge Dexter.
That's Fenora. She merely came to make sure I was where I'm supposed to be. Just as you did. When I spoke to her, she fainted.
Wilson, get the door open. We'll get to have some light in here.
It's no use, Dexter. I can see in the dark like a cat, and you can't.
No.
I have you now.
No, Judge. No, let go.
You're going to die, Dexter. Executed as you ordered me. Executed.
Randolph, let me go. I warn you, Randolph. I've got a gun. I'm going to shoot.
You're too late. You're...
Are you all right? Yes. Yes, I am. Now see if you can find the flashlight. I think I've taken care of Mr. Randolph. If it was Randolph...
I think I have it. Yes, here it is. Judge, Randolph's body, it's still in the coffin.
I rather thought it would be.
Harry? Harry, is that you?
Oh, no. You're not hurt?
No, just my head. I came here to see your father.
We understand, Mrs. Wilson. And then someone hit you.
Yes, from behind. There was someone here in the vault. I just got a glimpse of him, and then he hit me. But who was it?
That's what we're just about to find out. Now, let me have the flashlight, Wilson. Yes. I think he fell over here. Now, yes, here he is.
But who is he? He was impersonating Father, but who is he?
Here he's lying on his face. You better turn him over.
Carefully now. He's still breathing.
Oh, here. It's Miller, the guard from the penitentiary, the one Randolph said he made a friend of.
Yes, the one who was guarding him just before he was executed.
Oh, that's it. It was Miller. Miller, can you hear me? I'm afraid he's dying.
Before Father was executed, he must have hypnotized this man and ordered him to carry out his fantastic scheme of vengeance.
Oh, it was a trick, but it was a very cunning trick. By means of hypnosis, Randolph used this man as a tool, even though Randolph himself was dead.
He must have recognized that Miller was unusually susceptible.
I think we'll find that Miller was a psychotic to begin with. Otherwise, Randolph's hypnosis would never have worked. For no normal person can be influenced the way Miller was under any circumstances.
Isn't there anything we can do for him?
No. No, he's gone. And with him, the great Randolph has died too. For good.
This is the mysterious traveler again. So the great Randolph is dead for good, is he? I wonder. After all, Miller wasn't the only guard Randolph had a chance to talk to. Oh, but he couldn't have hypnotized any of the others. I wouldn't give it another thought if I were you. Unless, of course, you were on the jury that convicted Randolph. In that case... So you have to get off, dear. I'm sorry. I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at the same time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and terrifying. The role of the Mysterious Traveler is played by Maurice Tarplin. In tonight's cast were Santos Ortega, Richard Coogan, Shirley Blank, and Bill Smith. Original music composed and played by Al Vanelli. All characters in this story were fictitious, and any resemblance to actual persons was purely coincidental. This is Bob Emmerich speaking. This program came from New York. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Thank you for listening to RadioClassics.com. Programs are copyright their respective owners. All rights reserved.
Strange Wills. Stories of strange wills made by strange people. Starring the distinguished Hollywood actor Warren Williams. And featuring Perry Ward, Lorene Tuttle, and an all-star Hollywood cast. And the original music of Del Castillo. I devise and bequeath to my heirs the 7 deadly sins.
anger, jealousy, revenge, lust, envy, hate, and despair.
And here is our distinguished star of radio, screen, and stage, Warren Williams.
Of all the sins that live in the human heart, none is so deadly as despair. It has been truly spoken that when a man loses faith in his friends, his neighbors, and himself, he is truly in a sorry plight. Harry McNeil, the Prince of Broadway, on a certain night not long ago, learned the full bitter meaning of the sin of black despair. I'll tell you the story in just a moment, after we hear a word from your announcer.
And now back to Warren Williams as John Francis O'Connell in The Prince of Broadway.
These are stories of strange wills made by strange people. Strange people whose last written chapter in the book of life is dominated by good or evil. The Prince of Broadway is the story of my friend Harry McNeil, actor's agent. But Harry was more than just an actor's agent. He had that uncanny genius of seeing talent where others couldn't. And once he took some talented youngster under his wing, he never stopped until his goal was reached. For 10 years, he discovered and promoted new talent for his company, Artists Incorporated, and sent a steady stream of actors, singers, and dancers to successful careers and fame. And then, one day, he grew tired and quit his job. After an extended vacation in Bermuda, he came back to New York and opened a very small office in the heart of Tin Pan Alley. The very first chance I had, I dropped in at his new address to wish him success in his new venture.
Here's my friend, the old mouthpiece in person. Do me a favor and park the tombstones outside, will you?
No tombstones with me, Harry. Just a social call and an invitation to lunch thrown in for good measure.
Well, we'll skip the lunch today, John, if we may, but come on in, let's chew the fat. And forget the dignity of the law, if that's possible.
No, it's not only possible, Harry, but a pleasure. I'll bring you up to date on Broadway gossip, but tell me, Harry, how did Artists Incorporated take your leaving?
Not very graciously, I can assure you. They even offered me a vice presidency and a trunk full of shekels to stay on, but no, so. I'm a free soul from now on. I'm going to be choosy. No more discovering budding genius. You got to have it when they come in, or else.
Or else what, Harry?
Or else I don't want them, that's all. I handle only names now, Mr. Mouthpiece. Look, see these gray hairs on my temple? That's what I got trying to put potential geniuses in marquee lights. Gray hair and ulcers at 29. If I keep it up, where do you think I'll be at 39? Well, I'll tell you. You'll be filing my will in probate court, and for all I know, adding my will to your collection of strange wills made by strange people. Oh, no, not for me.
You still give me a laugh in spite of your new resolutions. But I know you better than you think I do.
Yeah?
There's someone to see you, Harry.
Tell him to come back tomorrow. I'm busy.
I didn't say it was a him. It's a her. Get what I mean?
Maybe it's Alice Faye or Sonia Haney.
Honey, what's her name?
Just a minute. She says her name is Pulaski, Gertrude Pulaski. She has a letter for you from her singing teacher in Oshkosh. God. I'm sending her in.
Hey, wait, honey, wait.
When Gertrude Pulaski stood in the doorway, neither Harry or I could take our eyes away from her. She must have been the inspiration of Did You Ever See a Dream Walking? Luxurious ash blonde hair fell in soft ringlets around her shoulders. Her eyes were the color of a deep purple violet. Her figure would have made even the great Ziegfeld take a second look. And her provocative smile, well...
Hello.
Come in, Miss Gertrude.
Thank you.
Well, Harry, if you'll excuse me, I'll be running.
Oh, no, don't go, John. This will only take a minute or two. Gertrude, I'm Harry McNeil. This is my good friend and attorney, John Francis O'Connell.
Oh, it is a pleasure.
How do you do?
I know why you're here, Gertrude. You don't have to tell me. You want a career.
Oh, yes.
You want your name on Broadway.
Yes.
You want fame and fortune. It's no use. I don't develop talent anymore. I only take names, people who have reputations.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but...
But what, Mr. McNeil?
But what? Oh, but what will you sing, of course? Here, let me sit down at the piano. Now then, let's find a good number. You know this one?
Yes, of course, and I'll play it, too.
Good enough. Here, I'll move over. Room enough?
More than enough. Now you can turn the pages for me.
That would be a pleasure. Hold it, just a minute. That's enough. Look, Sugar, let's relax and sing it a little bit lower, will you? Now, this isn't an audition for the Met. These words were written right from some guy's heart. I want you to sing them from your heart. Here, move over and let me play it for you. Now, let's try it again.
Yes, Mr. McNeil.
Okay.
Heard of racehorses kept under wraps until the day of the big race. Well, Harry McNeil went one better with the beautiful Gertrude Pulaski. 6 months went by, 6 long months that had my imagination on edge because I couldn't wait to learn what had happened to his newest discovery. He only gave me hints. But one morning I received an invitation in the mail to attend the debut of Judy Morrison in a song recital at Harry McNeil's penthouse apartment the following Saturday night. Oh, exit Gertrude Pulaski. Enter Judy Morrison. The debut of a McNeil discovery was always one of the highlights for blasé columnists and important bigwigs. They were seldom, if ever, disappointed. Always the showman, Harry kept Judy Morrison, out of sight until our natural excitement and curiosity reached a crescendo. And then, at exactly 11 o'clock, she made her triumphal entry. The girl was breathtaking. She wore a long, flowing green evening gown that accentuated the ash blondness of her hair. Her charm and smile were devastating. Her poise was perfect. In appearance and demeanor, Judy Morrison was sensational.
Well, now that you've all had a good look at Judy, she'll show you that beauty in appearance and voice are not incompatible. Judy, will you take over the keyboard, please?
I don't know why I love you like I do. I don't know why I just do. I don't know why you thrill me like you do. I don't know why you just do. You never seem to want my romance. The only time you hold me is when we're dancing. I don't know why I love you like I do. I don't know why I just do.
Well, Judy, you've seen how your friends and mine like you. Supposing you thank them in your own way.
Of course I do thank you so very much. But you and I, all of us, have this night been privileged to worship at the altar of a genius. The genius of Harry McNeil. Everything that I am, that I may one day be, I owe to him. his unselfish love, his patience, his wisdom, his... I only wish that he loved me half as much as I love him.
From that night on, the ultimate success of Judy Morrison was an accepted fact. Harry arranged for her triumphal appearance at the world-famous Rococo Room. The papers were filled with stories about her. But the day before she was to open, a storm broke. Harry called me.
Here he is, John. I don't want to tell you about it over the phone, but I need a good lawyer, quick.
I'll come over right away, Harry.
When Judy came to my office that day, she had a letter for me. I forgot to ask her for it. She forgot to give it to me. It was a letter from her singing teacher up in Oshkosh, addressed to Artists Incorporated, to my attention. You see, John, everything was wonderful until her teacher came into town to attend her opening. He went over to Artists Incorporated to thank them for what they had done, and then bluey they found out that Judy was their property. I'm accused of piracy. But much worse, John. They've succeeded in blackballing Judy from every top spot in the country. As long as I have her under my wing, Judy will never get a job.
I'm really sorry to hear this, Harry. Can't we make a deal?
No, it's out of the question. They hate me for pulling out, and they're after my scalp. John, nothing must stand in the way of Judy's career. I've never told a living soul, much less Judy, but I'm in love with her. From the first day she stood in that doorway, I fell head over heels in love.
Well, why don't you tell her? After all, marriage still comes before a career in my book. How do you know that Judy will...
No, John. You see, we belong in different schools. To us, the theater is theater. It transcends everything. The show's got to go on. Judy will be everything I planned for her to be. I'll tell you how I want it worked. Draw up my will.
Well, what are you going to do? A Brody from Brooklyn Bridge?
No, not that. I want you to will Judy Morrison, body and soul, to Artists Incorporated.
Harry, you're talking like a fool.
Well, if they own her, she'll go to town. She'll be where she belongs, on the top of the heap.
And you, Harry?
You know, John, I've held a pilot's license for 5 years. We're not in the war yet, but England is. They need flyers. One more thing. I want your word that you'll never tell Judy what really happened. Tell her, yes, just say that I got tired of going on. That I did everything I could for her, and from now on, she's on her own.
I never thought that I'd live to see the day that you'd run out on Judy.
You'll never know, John, how black, how bitter despair can be. If I have my way, you'll never see me alive again.
Part 2 of Strange Wills will follow in just a moment. Now back to the Prince of Broadway and Warren Williams.
My friend Harry McNeil disappeared from the world of men. Meanwhile, under the banner of Artists Incorporated, Judy Morrison became an overnight sensation. One night, Judy called me and asked me to meet her at the Swank Ziegfeld Room, where she was currently appearing. I noticed a tenseness in her voice.
John, I can't hold out any longer. I've got to know why Harry threw me over. It wasn't like him.
Why is that important, Judy? Haven't you got what you wanted from life? Beauty, charm, talent, fame? You're the toast of Broadway.
Values in life change, John. Believe me. 9 months ago, I thought that was what I wanted. I thought that success was all that mattered. But I've changed. John, you never know what is in your heart until someone you once loved is gone. Now I know how very deeply I loved Harry. It was because of him that I was able to reach this thing we call success. I know now that he was my inspiration. I want him, John. I want him with all my heart.
But he's gone, Judy. He joined the RAF. That's all any of us know. He's never written a line to a single one of his friends.
John, tell me honestly. Did he love me?
Well, really...
You've got to tell me. You see, if Harry loved me, I'll search the world to find him just as fit at his feet. If he didn't, if he really tired of me, if I must abandon hope, then I'm going to marry Felix George, the vice president of Artists Incorporated. He proposed to me last night. I said I'd give him my answer tonight.
If ever a man was saved with a bell, it was I. Judy was called to go on with her act, and I was left alone to ponder the question of legal ethics and love. I was sworn to silence by my client, and yet I wanted to tell Judy the truth.
I want to dedicate my next number to a very great and gallant man. His name is Harry McNeil, and I know no matter where he may be, he'd like to hear the song I'm going to sing. You see, he taught me how to sing.
When my dream boat comes home, then my dreams no more will roam. I will meet you and greet you, hold you closely, my own. Moonlit waters will sing of the tender love you bring. We'll be sweethearts forever. When my dream boat comes home.
You see, Mr. Counselor, I put my cards on the table. I've got a little boat of dreams that I won't let go.
Listen, Judy. I'm going to do something I shouldn't. But I'm willing to live with my conscience, in spite of my actions. You're right. Harry loved you as no other human being ever will.
Oh.
He turned you over to Artists Incorporated because your singing teacher gave you a letter addressed to them. And by that letter, you belonged to them.
What?
They had you blackballed in every spot in town. And Harry did the greatest thing a real man ever did. He willingly and knowingly sacrificed his deep love for you in order that your ambitions would be realized.
I knew it. I felt it all the time. Oh, John, why didn't you tell me?
I thought you wanted a career, Judy. I honestly did.
Oh, John, men are such fools. Such fools.
Judy's offer to entertain British troops was quickly and eagerly accepted. Within 2 months, she had arrived in London, and then she began her long search for Harry McNeil. Meanwhile, at home, events moved with startling rapidity. Then there came that day of infamy, December 7th, 1941. I received my commission as Captain U.S. Infantry and was assigned to legal duties in the Provost Marshal's office in London. 3 days after my arrival, I had lunch with Judy at the Savoy.
I think he's dead, John. And yet I won't be satisfied until I'm positive. He's listed as missing in action, and the squadron commander told me that he was shot down in flames over Berlin.
Oh, don't give up, Judy. I've always believed in a sort of special providence that watches over people in love.
No, I won't give up. I'll keep right on searching if it takes me the rest of my life.
Then came D-Day. France was liberated. World-stirring events followed in rapid succession. Germany was invaded. The Battle of the Bulge, and the end was nearing. And then the news we had all been waiting for, Germany surrendered. But as the war came to its inevitable end, Judy became more disconsolate. Though she searched every hospital in Europe, no trace was ever found of a Major McNeil. He had disappeared. Judy and I met once more in Munich. I hardly recognized her when I called for her at her villa. Her eyes were sunken. She was pale and wan, and the emotional strain she'd been under these past years was indelibly etched on her face.
It's all over, John. My hopes are run out. There's nothing left for me now but to go home.
Judy, you've done everything a human being could possibly do under these conditions. You're tired, young lady. You must go back immediately.
Yes, I know. I've made arrangements to fly to London tomorrow. And then it's back to New York.
It's too bad, Judy.
Yes, John, I guess my little boat of dreams is finally founded. What time is it, please?
Why, 3:30.
Would you be a kind man and take a ride with me?
Where to?
On my last appearance. I'm scheduled to sing at a little hospital just outside of Oboler. I understand that most of the patients are blind.
I'm at your service, Judy, and if you will permit me to say so, I consider it an honor and a privilege.
We have only about 60 patients. They are nationals of every country in the world.
Are they all blind, Doctor?
Most of them. But we have about 20 who are psychopathic cases. We are especially happy that you have come, Miss Morrison. You see, we have learned that musical therapy is very beneficial as a means of recovery. In many instances, our medical knowledge is of little value. Well, if you are ready...
You come too, John, won't you?
Of course, if I can be of help.
Come this way, please. Our piano's arrived the war, but I'm afraid it's badly out of tune. Here we are. Many of them are seriously wounded as well as blind.
Oh, John, how horrible.
Frau Zimmerman will accompany you. You have your music?
Oh, yes, Doctor, here it is. I'll walk around the room as I sing. You see, Doctor, I'm looking for a certain soldier. In fact, I've been looking now for almost 4 years. He's listed as missing in action.
What is his name?
McNeil. Major Harry McNeil of the Royal Air Force.
I'm sorry, Miss Morrison, but our records do not...
Yes, I know. I've heard that from London to Berlin. But I'm still looking.
When my dream boat comes home, then my dreams no more will roam. I will meet you and greet you, hold you closely, my own.
Judy sang her heart out to those boys, just as she'd done month after month, year after year. She visited every bed, looking, hoping, praying. Many of the patients were swathed in bandages from head to foot. How she ever hoped to identify Harry was beyond understanding. But as she stood there, literally singing with eyes full of tears, she was a picture I'll never forget. The late afternoon sun came streaming into the room and formed an aura of light over her head. She looked like and was an angel of mercy.
Oh, John, my last hope is gone. Take me home, please.
We walked slowly to the door. Her head was bowed. Judy was crying softly. Just as we reached the door, she stopped. She turned and took a last lingering look round the room. The sun had dipped even lower and shone across the beds of the wounded, making long, grotesque shadows on the wall. And then we walked out through the door. Suddenly, Judy raised her head. Her eyes had a wild, startled look. She grabbed my arm and looked up into my eyes.
John, the ring. I saw it. The ring. His ring. Oh, what a fool.
She turned and ran back into the room. Ran to the bed of a man swathed in bandages from head to foot. Only his hands were showing. And on his finger I saw the ring. A black onyx stone that caught the last faint shimmer of sunshine. Judy was kneeling at the bed, sobbing as only a desperate love can sob.
I found you, Harry. I found you.
We stood silently by, watched through tear-filled eyes. We saw the hand of our brave and blind Major Harry McNeil close tenderly over her.
Warren William will be back in just a moment to tell you the rest of the story. Here is a word from your announcer. And here again is Warren William.
Judy and Harry were married the next day, and I had the honor of being present at the bedside ceremony. Harry was invalided back to the States and is now living with Judy on a little farm in Connecticut. Judy, of course, after her long and meritorious service record, is again the toast of Broadway. And Artists Incorporated, in spite of Harry's protests, have elected him a vice president and have his office ready for him as soon as he is able to return. And so, two wonderful young people found out that the theater and love are not only compatible, but necessary for a complete happiness. And Harry's famous will... well, I just added it to my collection of strange wills. Next week, I'm going to tell you a story about a last will that started a treasure hunt on the floor of the ocean for a king's ransom in rubies, diamonds, and pagan gold. The log of the Spanish three-master, Toledo, was washed ashore on a desolate West Indies island through modern science and the skill of a beautiful young forensic chemist. The last position of the ship was discovered. Discovered not only by Captain Paul George, courageous young American, but, unfortunately, by the desperate crew of an ex-German U-boat who had fled Germany at the end of the war. What took place at the bottom of the ocean is a thriller that I promise you won't forget for a long time to come. We call this strange story Treasure to Starboard. This is Warren Williams inviting you to listen again next week.
Strange Wills is written by Ken Crepine and directed by Albert Ulrich. This is a Teleways feature produced in Hollywood.